District A, Ms. Angela Tappan. District B, Mr. Charles Bradford.
Here.
District C, Mr. James Green.
Here.
District D, Mr. Darryl Green.
Present.
And District E, Mr. Howard Locke.
Here.
All are present and have a quorum.
Let us stand, please. Invocation. Heavenly Father, we give thanks to you for this meeting, this first meeting for the year. Thank you for bringing us to 2025. We ask that you will soften our hearts to yield to your guidance, and that you will bless everyone in this assembly. In the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before you sit, please, if you would join me for a moment of silence. For Courtney and Miss Deborah Board, the wife of Mr. Bubba Board, who she worked for the Marshal's office some years ago and retired, and Mr. Bubba Board worked for the Bastrop Fire Department. Let us have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. That brings us to item number 3. Public comments as they relate to items on the agenda. Louisiana open meeting laws provides that the public has the opportunity to address this board prior to our taking action on an agenda item at today's meeting. Members of the public will be given an opportunity to speak on any item before the vote is taken. You will be afforded 5 minutes to make your comments, and the entire public comment period will be limited to 30 minutes unless an extension is granted. This is not a question-answer session where you can ask questions and demand answers of the board members, mayor, or the city employees. Are there any public comments? We need to.
Yeah, can you turn it on?
Good evening. My name is Chastity Kennedy. What did you get my address to?
Yes, go ahead.
9147 Redwood Drive, Bastrop, Louisiana 71220. Been out of the loop for a minute. I'm here today. I see the American Rescue Plan at ARPA. It's on the agenda. I'm not sure if it's on the agenda to be voted on, but I have something that I would like to speak on about the funding that was provided to employees on December 31st, 2024. If I'm allowed to speak on that. Okay. So it was came to my attention a few days ago about employees that were employed with the city. If I'm not mistaken, it was 2021, 2022, something to that effect. And I was thinking, I'm like, I was employed then, and so I started to go down a rabbit hole to kind of ask some questions. So I spoke with a few councilmen, and I also called this morning and spoke with the city clerk to ask her what the qualifications that made employees qualified to receive the funding, and she told me she would give me a call back. and about 6 or 7 hours later, she did return my call, and she stated verbatim that the guidelines for premium pay is you had to be employed from October 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, and had to remain an active employee until December 31st, 2024, unless retired, not resigned. Now, I asked her to repeat it, and I repeated back to her. That's why I said this is verbatim with what I was told. And so the first thing that kind of rang a bell for me was, if it was doing those days, why not just say October the 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2024? Why was it saying October 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021? And then it was reiterated that a person had to remain active through December 31st, 2024. I know like this is fiscally coming, so I can't ask any questions, but I'm gonna ask. I don't expect an answer, but it just kind of raised a red flag for me, and I haven't really been keeping up with the city things. I have to say I have not. But I do remember hearing something about some $250,000 missing trees. So I figured with that, I asked a question about this, and I know we have a Freedom of Information Act, so I would like to see something, and let me know if I need to provide something in writing and come up one day or email it. I know sometimes you have to put things in writing in order to get information, Freedom of Information Act. But I would like to see in writing from the ARPA funding to where it gave those dates of October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021 through December 31st, which was added. So if it was really those truly dates, is it something that the mayor, the city council, or the city clerk can provide me as an employee, or just period, Freedom of Information Act is for anybody that, to be able to get that information. Because I am aware of some people outside of myself that didn't receive funding that was there during their time as well. And then I made sure I asked, she made sure to tell me that they had to retire, not resign, but I am aware of someone that actually resigned during those periods and came back and still received their money. So I just want to make sure that everything was done, cut and dry, regardless of any grievances that anybody may have against somebody, because at the end of the day, what's right is right, and I want to make sure nobody can deliberately leave people off the list because they have their own malicious agenda, and that's all I just wanted to say.
Also, too, just to piggyback off that, Devin, because I'm not sure about the other councils, but I have been approached as well about some employees that was employed in 2021, 2022 that haven't received their ARP funding premium pay, and they asked me the same thing. Is there anything in writing? Because I told them exactly what Ms. Monica told Ms. Kennedy, the same thing. And as I go look for it, because I want to be accurate when I tell former employees, but I haven't found anything. What I did find was the retro pay, meaning that you deserve the pay of the work you've done during that time period.
Right, and that's why I'm saying I used to be an elected official, so I already know how this political game goes. So I really believe when people, I'm just a believer, put it in writing, show if what the mayor signed off on, and I was asking some of the city council, and I'm like, well, the mayor is like the administrator, like she recommends stuff. As a council, y'all control the budget, y'all supposed to approve, say yes, we agree with the mayor on this, or yeah, mayor, no, or come with your own ideas. So sometimes I get confused on how this work at the city of Bastrop. But with that being said, yeah, I would like to have it in writing just to shut me up, show me where the ARPA funding said this is the time frame. Because my thing is, if you gave it to one, should have gave it to all, and it's not, nice to discriminate against people regardless of, what your grievances, may or may not be with them. So thank y'all.
I got, I want to make a statement on that.
Okay.
See, when I saw this coming when it happened, she's exactly right. When you open Pandora's box, retroactive means just what Councilman said, back when it happened. It has nothing to do with current employee, the current employment status. Retro means back then, if you paying from those dates, if a person was employed at that time, then they should be entitled to compensation, because you can't pick and choose. Once you set a guideline, you can't start looking who you want to exclude and then write something in there. Like she said, she want the guidelines specifications, because it's kind of ironic that 3 or 4 people, I looked at the list, that left the city, probably they left the city, and it's kind of strange that the lady that we hired, she don't know anybody, but those particular people was left off. It's kind of, it piques your curiosity. So I'm not saying anybody done anything intentionally, but I'm saying if you go with the word retro, that means back. And if you work and based on the mayor's assessment of reading and Ms. Hart assessment reason they was paying the people is because they did a work during the pandemic, right? Because they came out and actually assisted the city and kept the city going. So if you're gonna pay those people for coming out then, how can you exclude them only because after the time frame they was quit, resigned, terminated, or whatever? But so my point is, Attorney Jones, is I want to know is how can you exclude somebody when you say that you follow me on this because you couldn't pay for overtime with this money? We had a big roundabout. You said this is going to be retroactive pay for those people who work. And nowhere did we see anywhere was the exclusion. And for your information, Ms. Karen, we had, this was not brought before the council, and you're exactly right. We are the executive branch. I think people muddying up the water. I think people getting the roads mixed up. And you're exactly right. And you deserve an answer. And I agree with you 100%. If you clocked in during that time, you deserve to pay just like everybody else. Because that money that we paid, $180,000, it ain't gonna hurt to pay everybody that you owe. You can't pick and choose.
Okay, I guess, Ms. Kennedy, I guess the question I think you asked for a copy of the rules and guidelines. Mr. Jones, that may be a bigger question. Well, how would she go back and get that? Who's responsibility to provide that to her? And how soon can she get that?
But not just her, the council, because.
Well, the council, well, she's making the request, a copy to her and the council.
Because I haven't talked to her, but I spoke with a couple more people that were previously employed with the city.
And point of information is.
Oh, no, excuse me for me, I'm getting away from my question.
I'm sorry, I'm so
I'm
sorry.
trying to get some clarity on what my question.
I'm
I
sorry.
interrupted.
I'm sorry.
My question again to the council, legal council, how would she go back and get that legally, a copy of the rules and guidelines, a written black and white copy, and that, I believe, Ms. Greenman, we need a copy too, because we need to know too as well. What would she have to do, and how soon can we get her a copy? Is that in the clerk office, right now, the guidelines, that's part of, should be part of our public record. And it should be able to just matter of making a copy for Ms. Kennedy to have in her possession maybe before she leaves town. It should be a part of our record, the city government file.
And I was gonna start with Mr. Derry Green's question and Mr. James Green's and then yours to answer all of it.
I don't think I asked you to believe it with myself. They made a statement. They made a statement. I asked you for your legal advice, how she go about legally getting this copy. I want you legal.
Okay, I think it's all gonna be answered real quick.
Okay, sure.
Is that you would ask for a public record on it, and it's a public records request if there's the guidelines as to what it is. The guideline on the American Rescue Act funds was very broad, and that was something that was in Laura's things. I did not craft what was done. I'm not asking you, I'm saying, where is that,
It's city government record. It should be somewhere,
I'm not-
city government, if I know, I know you
Public,
want.
public records
Yeah,
request
public
didn't get any of it.
Right.
But I was not, to answer their questions and concerns, I was not the person who crafted
I know.
how the pay was or where it was. I was not in that decision.
Okay, I understand that there's a job, but I'm trying to get an answer first. So we can
Public
get
records request. we did
public
not.
record. How soon could she get one? That should be the clerk office, where it's located on city property.
Well, public records requests go to the custodian of records, which is our city clerk.
Mhm.
And the city clerk's office then has 72
But she
hours.
came public and made that request. Does she have to do the request? She's here tonight. I think she talked to
Public
the
record.
clerk, excuse me, I think she talked to the clerk earlier, she said, about
Yeah,
her.
but I didn't request anything
Right.
from the clerk. I
Right,
just decided to come
but
to
now
the
that she came before the council, she should be, she's making her request. I guess, anyway, possible she can get a copy tonight.
Well, I think he was saying it's a 72-hour turnaround time. Am I hearing you right?
That's what I was saying,
Okay.
the public
So-
records.
So I should, they should, so I shouldn't have to
If
put
there's
it in
anything-
writing since I'm here tonight requesting.
That's what I'm saying, she had to do it right.
I think the actual word of it says in writing, but
Yeah, I
they've done
think
it
so.
electronic too, but out of safety to suffice.
But it'll only be a 72-hour turnaround time?
It's generally, the law requires a response within 72 hours.
One more thing, Mr. Green, he said the word retroactive, and that's what, again, that's what's making me question it, because I'm like, retroactive pay, that's doing a certain period of time.
Right.
So that's why when she said October 1st to December 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, I'm thinking thus a period, but then they came on the back end and said, and you had to remain employed. So I'm like, is that how retroactive pay works?
And that was not anything in legal, that was in the administration. I had nothing.
I have a
to do with
question.
it.
Oh, so that's something that the mayor probably added on? is what you're saying?
I have a question.
Mr. Jones, one at a time. You could have it first.
The decision on the American Rescue Act, as I understand it, allowed for certain amounts of payment, and then there was discretion as to how it wants to be paid, which is something that would exist within the administration, not with me. That's not a legal question. If you ask me legally, I will tell you where this stop is and where that stop is. What's discretionary between there is not a decision
I have a
that
point of
or that I
information.
grant.
Go ahead, Ms. Tapp. Or did I hear you first?
Yes, so my question is, I would like to see a list of all the employees that were employed in that specific time frame.
Right.
And I need to know the ones that did not receive it, what was the rationale behind that?
And again, as a council, I don't think we have to wait 72 hours to get a copy of a document that we don't follow up under a public request. We sit here as a council, we'll meet, it shouldn't just a matter if you got your clerk, I'm talking to the clerk and everything is all set to go, this is already public file. Just mind walking down the hall and tell the computer and hit, American Rescue Fund, rules and regulation guide, and bring us a copy, we're here.
And I think that's
So
what-
often that we request things, we never get it.
That's the, we should go with what, the ARPA recommendations were, not internal recommendations. So we really need to see a list of names.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
what I'm trying
reason
to
why.
clarify. I wasn't.
I'm just saying it for the record.
Finish, Mr. D. Green.
A point of information. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
you through, Ms. Anderson?
Yes,
So, if we don't have anything, if there's nothing in the writing legally that states that,
We're asking for those people who did the work.
that's one of that. Yeah, that's one of that.
who was working
This
at that
has
time.
nothing to do if they're still employed or not.
No, that's not my day.
Okay.
So my question, I'm sorry, my question is gonna be if it's nothing put in writing, and the language is gonna say anything about have to still be active, do we owe those former employees that was present during the time of 2021, 2022?
No, because you're not legally mandated to pay, it's what you're allowed to do up to that, you can do up to. You don't have to, but you can. And so that's where you can go all the way up to this line. Where the line goes from not paying anything to paying every person who was employed, that's somewhere that's a decision that's made by the governing the administration.
And hold on, you say governing body or administration?
I said administration.
Okay, point of information. So you telling me, as a legislative body, I'm going back to when they was employees. So you telling me, you're saying two different things. Ms. Hart says you follow the guidelines. right? But then you follow the guidelines, but then this administration wants to include something, they want to exclude somebody, and then they put their own language attached to it. So, hold on, let me finish. So therefore, you telling me that this administration don't have to worry about the council. This administration just pick and choose whomever they want to pay.
They're allowed to pay within what their budget is, within the guidelines. The guidelines say up to, the administration can make a decision to.
So you telling me
set
that the administration, so you telling me as a legal counsel that this administration, why are we up here? Why are we city councilmen if you just gonna come in every meeting and allow this mayor to just run rough shots over the council because it's always, if it ain't one thing, it's another. Now, we can't even dictate or have any say so in the pay.
I'm really not understanding because I have a copy of y'all city charter right here, and it's all through the city charter that the city council is supposed to, the city council and the mayor is supposed to work together. And it's like the mayor is kind of like, she don't really have to run anything by y'all. It's like y'all just rubber stamp everything that she said.
No, not y'all. It's her,
it says,
she gets attorneys, she
report
gets the attorney of the city.
advise and consent with the board of Aldermen. It's like y'all don't know, most of y'all don't know what's going on. So again, and for me, it's really not about the money. It's really the principles. Like you went through the time. You took the time to put on the list of everybody that worked during their 2021 time, and you deliberately left certain people off because you don't know how to keep your emotions out of it and sticking to strictly business. I'm done talking.
Okay, come on, sir.
So this, just for clarity, so now you're telling me that we have former employees, retro pay that did the work during this time, and we're not gonna pay them. So as the council, because we control the budget, can we amend the budget to pay those employees? If the language don't stipulate that they have to remain active as of December 31st.
Yes, you can,
Yes, all.
but I'm gonna tell you, your ARP deadlines, your American Rescue Act deadline's already ran.
What?
The deadline to obligate those funds is already ran on December the 31st.
I asked that question.
Yeah, Ms. Laura.
I asked that question to Ms. Laura Park, that's in that close. When I seen this, I seen some employees that I had some concern about, that the name did not appear on here. I asked her that question. And she said the same thing, saying in December 31st. But then I asked her, I said, well, whose responsibility to pay those people? Let's say we may have one, may have 10, may have 15, just use my number. Where does that additional money come from now that we done closed the book, the deadline that ran, and she made that clear. See, in other words, it looks like once we get the guidelines and see that anybody who qualified who did not receive pay should have received pay, once we get a copy of the guideline, the council should be able to make a determination that this person fall within that time, fall within these guidelines and make a sound decision. Because if we don't pay the ones that do fall within the guidelines, it's gonna be very unfair.
And that's why I say I would like to see the paperwork, because somebody that I keep in contact with, my political friends, they read it to me, and based on the way they read it, it said that the money had to be allocated by December 31st, 2024, not spent. So everybody had to rush up here on December 31st and get a check and hurry up and go cash it. Like y'all literally call the employees. I'm getting this from several employees. Need you to come up here right quick. Hurry up and go cash the check. Why was everything in such a hurry? Several employees have told me this is how y'all did it. So technically, to my understanding, the money didn't have to be spent by December 31st, but it did have to be allocated. And again, not about the money. I just like exposing when people do low down and dirty things.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Good evening. Mr. Henry Doty, 746 London, District 3B, Mr. Bradford. Before I get started, let me back up real quick and address this real quick. Is there an actual document in place now that's relating to who gets paid retroactive for work back during the COVID time period? Is there an actual document already in place? Because that would clear up a lot of stuff if there already is. If it's not, fine, we can move on.
Not to my knowledge.
Are you asking the council that?
Yeah.
Oh, not to, no, I don't know. None of the council, I mean, not to my knowledge.
Okay, well, if there's no document, then we can move forward with that one. The next thing is, if there is actual, if the ARPA money is already spent and they can't go back in that and rebudget that, then it seems like to me, if they're due to get paid, then it would somehow come out of the city fund somewhere. Because you basically, what you're gonna do is you're gonna owe some people. And that's just point blank. So I think that shouldn't be a hard decision. If that's the right way to go about it, then basically we just have to find some money to pay these people. Simple as that. Okay. Next thing is, as I continue to come to these meetings, I never know when the agenda or how long the agenda is going to be. Items on the agenda. May take 1 hour, may take 4 hours. My basic comment is, if we are dedicating 30 minutes ahead, really ahead of the meeting itself, the meeting has been open, but before you guys get active, if we're dedicating 30 minutes for public comment, it just seems to me there is no way that I can know ahead of time what's on the agenda. Is there a way I can know ahead of time what's going to be listed on the agenda?
It's posted. It is.
No. I'm talking about before it's posted, before it's written up and posted. Is there a way I can know what's on the agenda? So what I'm getting to is there is no way that the public at large knows what's going to be on that agenda. So how in the world can we again make comments and ask questions about what's going on with the city? Because by the time you get through asking questions about something that we know nothing about, then we really done nothing because the people are still uneducated. We still, I know I am, I ain't gonna say people, but I am.
And Mr. Doty, to kind of answer that, the city council, we don't know what's on the agenda until it's posted. Now, if we have something to add and we request it to be added, we would of course know that item. But as far as all of the items,
Yeah.
the council does not even know.
Okay, and that brings to mind another situation. I'm coming from a public sentiment because I am out in the public. I hear it, I see it, talk about it, what have you. See a lot of stuff on Facebook. There's just a lot of information going around. And let me back up real quick again. The misting tree. From my understanding, there is no misting tree. It was talked about, it didn't happen, and I think that's something that things like that ought to be made clear so the public can understand. Because a friend girl asked me today about the misting tree, so I go out and got some park, called a few people, couldn't get nobody on the line, and we didn't see anything misting. We didn't see anything growing out in ordinary area. Now, I'm being serious. And, that's the kind of information we need. If something is supposed to happen and people are talking about it, I think we owe a job to the public, whether it's through social media or through the individual councilman or coming up here talking to the mayor. I think we owe the public at large an explanation of why it did happen. And right now, people are still talking about a misting tree. So I'm glad we got that understanding that there is no misting tree. That's the information I got today. So the last thing is, again, I want to go back to the agenda. There's a 30-minute public comment section about the agenda. That means I've got to get here maybe an hour early. Maybe nobody's here an hour early. Maybe nobody's here 30 minutes early. I don't know what time those sheets come out and they hit the banister right here on the end. But what I'm concerned about, and I'm really concerned about it, is that we don't inform the public enough about what's going to happen. And then when it does happen, whether it's something good, mediocre, or what, if it's listed on the agenda, then I think the public ought to be able to come in on it. Because once we're done with the public agenda session, then we have no way of commenting on anything. Am I right about that? Okay, so is there any way that we can look at, some modifications to the way we do the agenda, whether it's after each agenda item or at the end? And I know we don't wanna get into a place where we're an hour or 2 hours for public comment, but I think that would help a lot. Can I get any comment on that one?
Mr. Doty, I totally agree with you, 100%. I guess our agenda procedures gonna be done differently in the future in the city of Bastrop, that we're gonna have to be more transparent. And I hear exactly what you're saying, and we're gonna hope that we can, come up with some different format of the agenda, so it can be more transparent to the public. That's, and I agree with you 100%, because the public don't know. And like you say, let me share with you, we don't know, the councilman himself, who you get back last night? Not two, what night? Yeah, last night, we just got this back, we just seen this last night, and I think our rules, if we speak up on a regular meeting, I know we have ice on or something, kind of to set things back to this particular meeting, but our rules, agenda should go out the Friday before that Thursday, the following coming Thursday, but we haven't been fortunate enough to do that with shorter time, shorter staff, and a lot of things. Like I said, we got to make some amendments to what we're doing with the city government body, and to make it work for everybody, just not the council, just not for the administration, but for the city as a whole. And then we'll get more input. But you're exactly right. I want to commend you for bringing that to our attention. That's something we're going to do in the future.
Well, can you clarify, since you made that statement, can you clarify that? When you say going in the future, we're intending to,
We intend to be more transparent in the future.
right, especially with the agenda.
Yeah,
Just the
with
agenda.
the agenda and a whole lot of things to it as well.
I'm saying, can you clarify that statement or what we're talking about doing?
Yeah, right now, I say it's something we're going to do, be more transparent. The present administration here, that's in section now, and the future administration as well.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, thank you.
In the misting tree, back to the misting tree. It's not a tree, it's a piece of equipment. The mayor did a video on it explaining that, misconception, because when you put $200,000 down for a misting tree, people don't know what kind of seeds they are. It's equipment, it's playground equipment for kids. That just was the name of the equipment.
Go ahead, sir. State your name and your address, please.
My name's Colonel Evans, and I live at 1107 Short Street. My wife is here.
Would you check the microphone, Mr.?
Oh, I mean,
You can move that podium out the way.
I don't agree. Don't mean to take up much of you all the time, but, there was something that,
Evans, what's your address? We didn't hear it.
you didn't hear the address?
No.
Eleven Sharp Street.
My name is Colonel Evans, and I live at 1107 Sharp Street, Bastrop, Louisiana. And, we just want a little clarification on something here, if you all don't mind answering. Before I ask that though, it's about kids. And my kids are part of that program. It's a track and field for the summer, after school. They run track going to school, both of them. And for to just snatch this out of them kids, really takes a lot from that, because we got a lot of kids that we done talked to here in the last year and got them to want to come out for the run track during the summer. And for to snatch that from these kids, especially these, they already ain't got nothing going on in Bastrop. That's why they killing and shooting each other now. They ain't got nothing to do. And you're gonna snatch the little stuff that you do have. It's not right. Got to think that one over.
Well, sir,
On the track, you need to think that one over.
first of all, let's get some clarity. I feel your pain. We seen that when y'all seen it. If you was at our finance meeting,
No, I wasn't.
we said that was not gonna happen. We seen this today about the elimination of the football program, the track program, and the basketball program. That is crazy.
Okay.
The city council had no input. We didn't know anything about that until today.
Is there anything to be done
And
about
that is going,
Yes,
tell
sir.
you what, we gonna go down and fight for our kids.
Yes,
So
sir.
if I have anything to do with it, we're not gonna eliminate not one program. Now, you can let this administration came up with, I don't know who came up with that. Nobody on this council had any drafting of this, doing away with programs.
Okay.
That don't even make a bit of sense to me. Cause I concur with you. Our kids are already at a disadvantage.
That's right.
They don't have anything. And then the little stuff that we do provide for them, we gonna take that away out of $3.3 million. We didn't appropriate nothing for park and recreation. And now you're gonna come and tell the council that we're gonna take away the programs? So that's not gonna happen. Well, I'm not gonna say it's not gonna happen, but I promise you, no one on this council is for that. No one, not a one of us.
Time is running short.
Hey,
Okay, let me clarify something. These notes were taken from the minutes and given to the budget preparer based on what occurred in the meeting. These programs were listed. And somewhere in one of those meetings, and we can always go back and listen to the tape, it was stated to eliminate these programs. Now, if this is going to, if I didn't prepare this statement.
I think I have a solution for that. I think when track and field was mentioned, and I think Attorney Jones, you had mentioned something about legal, and at that moment, because none of us was aware that the funding for track and field was removed.
Right.
Until a parent from track and field had called me, and that's when I asked the question, because here we are, we said in the financial meeting that all of a sudden that the city of Bastrop can have these activities in park and recreation and been doing it for years, and as a council, we want to know why. All of a sudden now that we gotta get rid of track and field. We can't do football, we can't do basketball, we can't do baseball. So now we have to answer these questions to our constituents. Mr. Colonel in my district, and I told him to come to the meeting because I always have people to invite them to the council to look us elected officials in our face and get the question needed. Because you can tell us, I can tell you anything outside the meeting. So I want to be honest and transparent, but there was not like an idea from nobody at the council to do away with the track.
I have a statement. I think where this came up is track and field was allotted way more money than the other sports. And I think that's what brought on the conversation.
It was what?
It was allocated, I think 3 times the amount that the other sports were. And that was our concern.
Yeah.
Our concern was that all of the organizations should be funded equally. That was our recommendation, not to eliminate any programs for children. Because children are close to all of our hearts. Eliminating these programs not only affects your kids, but it affects my grandkids. So no way would I sit up here and remove funding for something that my kids like to do.
Well, can we clearly say that something would be done about this?
We can go back in the meeting.
Yeah, I can also too, if I'm not mistaken, how long you been on the track and field program, y'all? So
About 3 years or something.
y'all do a great job of getting donations, and I think somewhere along the line, the donation part as well as what the city provide is intertwined, which is causing it to be illegal, because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that when they get the donations, they put it into a city account, which means that the city is funding it. I think what should have happened was it should have been a separate account strictly for the donation. And I think this is what the hiccup is.
Yeah, and that's where I was gonna make the difference at. You can have a league that uses city property like basketball at a court where they use it, you have a city league. But when you have a city team that you're paying city employees to coach, that you're paying money from the city to use to go take travel buses somewhere, that's where the problem comes in. You can have a league that uses city property and city facilities that's run by the city, but you can't have a team where you're paying the coaches, you're paying the employees from the city to go travel with people. You can't do that. There's a difference. And that's what we got into was this, we had a football program, that's fine, because you're gonna use your facilities, you're gonna use your thing. A team where simply there is a group of people and the city is coaching it and traveling and paying city employees to go travel to other jurisdictions, that's a problem.
I don't think we, as a council, was considering eliminating any program for this.
Yeah, and that's where my legal advice was, is that you can have programs, you can't have a team where you're paying city employees to coach kids and go places and do stuff like that and paying for hotels and other things.
Oh, excuse me for a minute. Wait, excuse me. Go ahead, Mr. Brown. Now, so, correct me if I'm wrong. If we have a team that we're sponsoring, a traveling team, that's what they are.
You can't do that.
We can't have a traveling.
Not, that is illegal. That is an illegal donation of funds that is prohibited
I'd
by.
like to see the argument myself. We're fully give it to me a chance. Okay?
You're gonna see it when you get your next audit.
Because
When you get your next audit, you're gonna see it.
okay. Let me finish. Okay, well, I expect to see a lot of things when they got it. But let me say this. For the past, we have been, but I don't think they're paying, you used the term paying employees. I don't think they were paying the employee, they were paying for the traveling expenses, their lunches and dinner. I don't think they were actually paying them a salary. I want to get that clear.
Yes, they were.
They're paying them a salary on,
On track, yes.
they were getting a paycheck on salary. No, well,
That's the problem. See, it's two different problems. Like when you got it on, excuse me, brother, when you put something on paper, you gotta be careful what we sign, because when you look at it, actually the meeting, right? We talking about eliminating teams, or sponsor teams, but when you read this, you better read what you sign. Read what you sign. This is eliminate programs. That means everything. So what the problem is with track
Is the team. You can't have.
Okay, I'm not Well, again, that's something in the future that we're gonna have to address, because the program's gonna have to be funded some type of way. We cannot give up on the children in Bastrop. That's a no-way. We done gave up on a lot of things in Bastrop. Let's don't give up on our future. And I don't think the pay is that great, but I have to look and see exactly what the detail is, but one dime is too much, I guess. But what I'm saying, I'm sure it's all about wording.
Right.
Okay, back to wording, and we want to say, we donate, or they get what, they, like you said, they raise their money too, maybe that could help their coaches. But the money that we allocated should be stipulated, what it be spent for, uniform, lunches, I'm sure we can buy kids lunches. You can't buy one. Well, we're gonna have to really get busy in this community to
You
get
can
this.
provide facilities, you can provide.
Okay,
some equipment,
well,
you can provide-
Our community gonna have to really get busy if we really serious about our children, our local business, our local chamber, our local churches, you name them. We're gonna have to get busy, because this is something we must have. This is a must have, and as we get together as a community, as a whole, we gotta come up, again, it's something we gotta plan on in the future. Like I say, but I don't think we need to wipe all funding. There's somewhere, somehow, we can help put some funding into these programs.
Yeah, because being that they hear.
Because the parents pay money, don't you pay money too?
Look, we pay money.
Yeah.
Oh, let me say this. Let's start looking at these kids. And you worry about a few measly dollars. We'll pay our own way. You understand? We ain't looking for no handout. We looking out for these kids that's coming up. Not just our kids, but all kids. All kids in the Morehouse parish. And for you to sit here and say something like that, that's absurd. That's disgusting. You gotta go deeper than that, man. These are children we're talking about. We're talking about these children's future, not mine by themselves. We're talking about Morehouse Parish children and children of other cities. And when you sit here and say that, you must don't have no kids. Well, we have to get to put yourself in our position. We want our children to develop. We want our children to excel in life. We want them to be prosperous in life. We want them to have everything that God will bless them with. Not get their throats cut off when they try to cross the fence. This is stupid.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Colonel,
Okay, we just wanna go ahead, Mr. Derrick.
what is,
Go ahead.
what is the name of the track team? What is it called?
What is the name of the track team? I really,
Hold on.
it's the city of Bath, they sponsoring the city.
I'm trying to come with solutions to this.
Come on.
While we're here. So Attorney Jones, being that the city can't sponsor a team, but so is it best, it's a program, is it best, they can't.
They can sponsor.
Sponsor a
So is
program.
it best that they do away with the city of Bastrop team?
Yes, you would put on a track program that's done at Bastrop facilities. If it's anything traveling, that's gonna be outside of you because your league's gonna be done here in the city. You can put on a football program league, you can put on a football thing. You can't be the sponsor of a team that travels around.
So are you recommending that it's best to change the name of the track team?
Correct. You just have to be careful of what expenses that you're paying people to do
Wow.
and you can put you can do the track league using city property and city things like that, but you can't go out there and pay people to go travel to Oklahoma. You can't reimburse expenses, things like that. That's outside, that's where you're becoming a sponsor of a team.
So what's the difference in the administration giving funding for other events?
Other events that are in furtherance of city goals, like.
So track, seeing our kids run track and going different places, not a goal with us?
Because it's not occurring in the city, it doesn't happen here in the city. It is a event that, yes, ideally a goal would be to further that kids participate, have things to do and activities. They need that. My kids do.
Okay.
But you can't pay employees to go travel with a track team.
So
That's the main thing is about paying employees.
Paying employees and using money to travel.
I have a question, statement.
So they would have to get contributions.
They'd have to get contributions.
Okay, so at this point, we need to make sure that this money is back in the budget for the football program and track program. So if we gotta amend the budget, do we need to amend the budget at this point and make sure that money is there? Because we're not gonna eliminate these programs.
And that's what correct, and that's what your finance committee offers up, where you can offer up the amendment and say, hey, we wanna go ahead and amend this, and then that would get it on the agenda to ensure.
But we wanna take care of this tonight, so what, I'm gonna make a motion.
Well, you have to expand the agenda to put the.
Well, I wanna suspend Robert rules of order if we can.
You would have to expand the agenda to amend the budget.
Okay, I wanna expand the agenda to amend the budget, and now I wanna suspend Robert rules of order and discuss this right now.
I second.
So you do a motion to expand the agenda to add the agenda item to amend the budget to incorporate various programs and expenditures.
The athletic program.
Can I explain how the baseball works and the football team works?
Excuse me, we,
Okay. I had a motion on the floor to expand the
I
agenda.
second.
Okay, now it's public comments
Okay.
on should it be expanded.
All right.
All right, I'm Cindy Hendricks, and we own the sporting goods store here in Bastrop, and we've dealt with teams all this time, football, baseball, softball, all of them. The way that it's normally done is, yes, the city has collected fees. The fees pay for some of the upkeep of the ball fields. They have paid for some of the equipment that they use. Then you have they have their own separate account that they say, call it Dixie Youth or whatever. They have their own separate account. That account, they go get sponsors or they get donations for for their equipment, for more equipment, and a lot of times what the kids do, they buy their own uniforms, they buy their own bats, and that's of their choice, okay? But that's what the sponsorship sometimes pay for. Since, for instance, let's just say Arnett's is gonna sponsor a team. Arnett's can do one or two things. They can pay a sponsorship, or they say, we'll pay for the uniforms, but it's done on donations through sponsorships and people, okay?
Okay.
So it's separate. And we play here. We play. Now, when they go to like an all-star and they gotta go to Oak Grove, and they're in an all-star, they raise their own money, or whatever money they did not spend, that's what they spend it on. So it's not the city that pays
Right.
money to go anywhere.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons.
That's the way all the other teams have worked. That's why you have the teams here like, I still call him Devin, what he's saying. So that, I'm just telling you how it works so that you understand how it works in the public.
So people get out there. So the track don't have their own personal account?
That I don't know.
I'm talking Attorney General.
You don't?
No, so what happens is we've been taking donations, which last year you had donations that were
Listen to.
less than what was expended on the program, taken in by the city, placed in a city account. It's always been my advice not to put the donations in city accounts because those monies then become public funds.
So when it's like that, so then when they go travel, then it's like the impression that the city is actually paying for them to travel.
Correct.
I get it.
Gotta have separate.
And that's why, that's always
That's an
separate.
easy fix.
Yeah.
Okay, I call for,
We could discuss, we doing a discussion period now. It's kind of,
Yes.
just sitting here
Well, you
listening
get
to.
a motion second to expand the agenda, then public comments, and vote on expansion.
Okay.
For the motion, second, discussion. Go ahead, public comments. Okay, what was the next step, Mr.
we need to
Jones?
vote.
Vote.
I got it. Do we get
All,
to, do we get to?
Just expand the agenda.
It's just on whether you want to expand the agenda or not.
To discuss it.
Okay, well,
The vote is on
Yeah, I mean,
the-
you always have a discussion period after a motion.
that's what I was doing. Okay, it's just, I'm listening to the general public, and I just want people to understand. When you talk about.
Mr. Green, just all due respect, we need to vote, and then we
He
can,
just said it's discussion before the vote.
public comments, right?
No, he always have a
I think
discussion.
they're closing.
Oh, do we have more folks? Yes, is there any way the city could donate to that account?
No.
They can't?
Well, let me ask
Well,
you,
you can see, yeah.
You can't donate?
You can't donate.
Is
You
it
can't
a
donate
nonprofit
public
organization?
funds to it.
Sir,
Is it
But you
nonprofit
could probably do a CEA, but.
for the keys.
I'm reading the message, if we get on down the agenda here, we get this A, B, C, D, E discussion here. There's a question came up with the rescue money, we could donate to nonprofit organizations. Now, that's why I asked the question, are you considering being donations? We gotta help. I mean, we gotta come up with fun, we just can't say, just stay to the rules, say that's what it's done. We gotta make some effort.
You could possibly get a CEA, we have to look at the purposes of it.
Probably just get a donation for the
Yeah.
track team, football team, whoever it may be. Maybe we can do it in a form of a donation. We donate to Main Street,
Yeah, like-
Keep Mohawk Beauty, and everybody else, and except the children.
Yes, sir.
It's a new day in the neighborhood.
As long as we have a legal purpose for a CEA.
Yeah, long we can do it legally, that's something we need to consider. And we will help, and we need to do, if we don't get it done this meeting, we need to get on the next meeting. We'll go ahead and hear your motion, I guess, and then
Yeah.
we'll move forward. We're gonna do something.
God
We
bless
need
you.
to do something. Let's say that we need to do something.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's sitting here discussing now.
It's highly appreciated.
We need to do something about it. I'm sure we can go back and jump the shore.
Yes.
They'll go back and
We
go
got
legally,
CAs.
but won't nobody get into any, that's what a legal attorney comes
Yes,
to.
sir.
And
I'm
I
not
will-
here to prove anything.
I'm
I'm just trying to keep everybody out of trouble.
I'm calling for the vote.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna discuss it.
Okay, we still,
Under discussion.
Yeah, I expanded the agenda and suspended Robert rules of order, so we can discuss now.
We can discuss it.
Yeah.
All right, okay. We still on the same.
Same agenda?
Yes. I think,
I think Mr. Gold.
no, we still under the same, we discussing it right now. All right.
Do a motion.
Oh, you were standing there, but they didn't recognize you.
Track program are continued. Now, do we not do anything with the softball? I don't have my, budget, so I don't know how much is allocated to softball.
But it's, yeah, yeah. It's not, it's nothing. Yeah, James, you got a better understanding.
See, because this is what's going on. You got, when they say eliminate the program, he was talking about teams. They put the wrong word in there. I don't know how programs came in. So he's talking about we cannot sponsor a team, but we can have programs. Like we've been having football league. We've had football league ever since Bastrop been Bastrop. Basketball, same way. Baseball, the same way. The problem with track, I'm just gonna break it down to you. The problem with track is the money has been combined with city money and raise money. So instead of having separate accounts, what they was doing, they was putting it together. And once you put it together, it becomes city money. And you cannot use city money for private stuff because it is also as a track team. Bastrop, it says Bastrop, but the problem is the employees, we paying the employees to coach like football and basketball. I've been coaching for 25 years, I'm just listening. It don't work, it's two different things. You got a program, now track, I don't know how this started some years back, that when you coach football, it's free. I mean, it is volunteer, you can go volunteer, right? But track is, the employees are getting overtime to coach a team that's sponsored by the city, that's money is being put together. So you call them a city team, but you are paying those employees from the time they leave here to when they get there going. So they actually, if you don't know it, they own the payroll. They own the city payroll, but they coaching a public team per se. And so when you mix the money up, it seems as though it's a city team, but you can't take those funds and put them together, because then if it's a city team, then you can't sponsor them going out and about. Because we've been paying, Attorney Jones can attest to this, the auditor looked back several years, we have been paying employees a lot of overtime to coach a team, where it is supposed to be donated and volunteer. You're supposed to have people to come in and coach, just like when you do football. They come out there, they do the announcing. We pay the officials, right? But that's it. They never travel. When we get ready to go off to our All-Stars, we actually take up donations and pay for it. But as long as we playing inside of the league, the city takes up funding upstairs and they sponsor, well, you pay to play. And you pay for your equipment and all this, but that's it. The city employees, they are on the clock only when it's game time. They're not going off with us on the All-Stars and saying that they're going with All-Stars with us and we paying them from the time they leave to the time they get back. That is the whole problem. So to fix the problem is you got to separate the accounts and you cannot let the city employees be on overtime when they go off on a trip. And you need coaches like you do in other sports. It needs to be ran just like football and basketball. So the problem is when you look at the account and the attorney knows this, and when the auditor looks at it, it don't look right because you got the money together. And why are all these people being paid all this money? Why somebody being paid almost $50,000 for a program and track and field getting this amount, football getting this amount, but that's an optical illusion because when you do the tally of what's really being spent on track and field, it's a lot of city funds. So I think the problem is that we need to try to separate the money. We need to get coaches to get out like they do all sports because, and that's really kind of bothered me, and I was anxious to get to this point, Ms. Angela. I know I was ahead of my game because, listen, I've been coaching a long time, and I would hate for people to think that I, James Green, voted to cut a football program, a basketball program, a track. So we want to make it clear, no one on the council recommended any of this. I mean, we just want some clarification, sir, and you the attorney, so we depending on you to work it out because we're not cutting not one of our programs.
And that was, and the elimination was never anything we discussed. It was always the discussion of separation where the city provides the facilities and the avenue and the private sponsors' donations don't go into city accounts. So it doesn't appear as if the city's paying things it shouldn't be paying. And that's it. It was this, we need to have it set up properly, as Ms. Hendricks articulated, that they've experienced over years. You provide the facilities and the stuff for a league to exist, and the league goes out and gets the sponsors and pays themselves with a separate account. Instead of us taking up the donations and putting it in a city account, having to explain to the auditor and to everybody who looks at it, why is there a purchase order for bats? Why is there a purchase order for uniforms? You can't have a team. And so it's harder every year to explain to the auditor this. And it also brings in, when you start marrying in, if there's employees getting paid, well, that you can't pay employees to coach and do stuff like that.
Can we call for a vote on restoring that monies back to program?
Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote. Let's get clarity because the budget preparer made these recommendations based on what occurred in one of the meetings. So let's make sure the language is clear.
I have a point of information,
Go
so
ahead, Ms.
can
Sandy.
you tell, I don't have my budget, how much is allocated for softball right now and basketball? Because we wanna, for right now, keep it on an even playing field for right now. And then if it needs to be amended again later, we could do that.
Right.
But we need to have the same amount for each program right now.
Okay,
But I don't have my budget, so I don't know the amount.
and I don't have mine.
What budget is it? I got stuff.
While you're looking for yours, Mr. Bradford, let me go back and give some history on the track program. The Hershey's Foundation some years ago became very popular with municipalities, and it was something that gained a lot of momentum. There was a lot of money raised for the track program, and that interest has maintained. So what gave the appearance of inequities, part of it was money that was raised from a lot of fundraisers. But my main point is, let's make sure what you want to restore back into the budget so that the budget preparer can do just what your will is to be done.
Would that be the June budget? I got June, I got seven, I think it's 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Budget, we talk about budget. Which one did we ever adopt? I mean, eight of them was issued. Now, what adjustment we made, there's a whole stack of budget, about 8 budgets right here. Now, what budget are we referring to? Because none never got amended, saying we started off in, I think, May or June, and we ended up all the way to almost October. 25, 26, this is one June, but this is, which one you referring to, you say you want to amend?
The last, the one we voted on and passed.
Okay, it wouldn't be this one in June, because it wouldn't be, that not get nothing. If you're gonna help me look through this, I think it's there, it's kind of date you're referring to. Because we got, I never did, I voted against it, but because it never come to a material financial sensitive graphic. But, you know, that's my thought.
Mr. Brown, can I speak while you looking through there trying to find that budget?
Sure, please.
Okay, Attorney Jones, I got a point of information for you. We had all this ARPA money, this money that we spent last meeting, right? So my point is, we didn't have a football season this year. They say the kids, but it was a double whammy because none of the equipment was. The equipment came up missing in action. We had no accountability for the equipment. So therefore the kids had to pay for the equipment. That's never happened. Follow me on this. So why did we have all this money and we knew that the kids had to buy their uniforms because the uniforms was missing in action? Why didn't we take some of that ARPA money? Because if we can purchase it for the city ourselves, like we've been doing, as long as it belongs to the city and we keep up with it, responsible. Why don't we go and use that $25,000, that money, $30,000 to purchase helmets, shoulder pads, pants, and etc., and keep a log of it and have a person assigned to that, so they'll be held accountable for the city equipment, because we can purchase whatever we want as long as we don't give it to the people. When we, like we've been doing, everybody know about football. You come up, you dress out, you sign the equipment out, and you get it back. Mr. Hall's been doing it 40 years. He in the back here. So you get the equipment and we get it back. It belongs to the city. My point is, you know what's gonna happen next year? You're gonna spend all this money. Not one dime went to Park and Recreation. Not one dime went to the programs. So guess what's gonna happen next year? The kids gonna have to pay for their uniforms, and then we ain't gonna have a season again. So I'm asking you, what remedy, like, I know we got under $250,000 for each, for all our districts. So what is the solution to $250? So why didn't we purchase the football equipment? Was anything illegal about purchasing our own equipment?
If you're purchasing equipment to be used at a facility,
Yes.
as long as you have an inventory, you can keep equipment.
That's what we've been doing for 40 years.
You can provide facilities, you can't provide.
I know.
Yeah.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, we had all this money and nothing was appropriated for it. And we're gonna be back in the same predicament next year with our kids.
And your legal question is?
I just asked you, can we do it? Could we have bought the equipment?
Could we
I
have
told
done?
you that you can acquire equipment for the facilities.
Okay, you know, you got that lawyer talk. I just wanted in layman's terms. That means yes.
Well, I'm trying to divide which one to answer. You asked, should we spend the money? And I can't answer that one. That's not.
But we could have bought the equipment.
You could buy the equipment legally.
Okay, I have the
I'm
budget.
trying to stay in my lane.
Okay.
I have the budget.
In the budget, can't we purchase that equipment and whatever we need when we amend the budget?
You can amend the budget to fund that item to purchase equipment. How, you would have to allocate it for, you would have to sub-allocate it for equipment specifically.
Okay.
I mean, you can can fund it all you want, forcing somebody to do it.
We had the money, we didn't even have this problem, we should just did these last months. With the art fund,
That's not my job.
that's what I know. I just want the public to understand, when it comes up next year, we had $3.5 million and not one dime went to purchase equipment for the kids that we know we're gonna need next year. No, mistake. We can't use the art fund.
Okay, well, I have a budget in front of me. Baseball allotted $8,000, basketball $1,000. Let's see. Football, 4862, softball, 10,000, track program, it says $18,000. So my desire, and the council needs to weigh in, we at least need to, give the football program, I would say about $8,000, and as well as the track program, because we know they will be, raising money and having donations. For right now, we just need to make sure some money is in the budget for this program.
I think the only thing that you should amend would be anything dealing with, you shouldn't worry about football up until, because we finna get another budget at the end of June. We'll have another budget, we can always put that in. Right now, it's for the current activities that that's gonna take place this year, like track, baseball, and what is it? Track, baseball, and softball, and basketball. These ones that we should be amending the budget for.
Make a motion, Dee.
Let's be clear on, so when the budget preparer gets this information, it can be reflected.
Are we talking about the 25, 26 budget?
No,
Talking about this budget.
Yeah.
Let's go to the 5. Okay, I thought we were talking
What you say
about.
about basketball?
We need to level it up.
But see, basketball, football, you got a lot of equipment. Basketball, you just got jerseys, so they probably don't need $8,000 on basketball, because it's got, well, I've been coaching a long time, we ain't never had more, like 6 teams in one division. You're gonna have about 12 teams, but all you gotta do is buy shirt and pants.
$1,000.
Oh, that's just more than $1,000, I'm saying.
And the suggestion I make is to get with, Public Works or Park and Recreation Director, whoever in charge, to see how much we need to budget for, because we can get up here and guess, and then it might not be accurate, because like basketball, we didn't have a basketball season last year. So here we go, we put in money for basketball, we might not have it, so we need to get with Mr. Oral, and he needs to sit down and tell us.
See what your facilities and your equipment needs.
And then also get with the person that's over the track department and see what we need to do.
Okay, well, I'm gonna rescind that the last motion, and I'm gonna make a new motion so that Mr. Orals and the other leaders will let us know about the cost of it, and that way the next meeting will be ready. So we need this before the next meeting.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, and also our budget preparer needs to be included in that conversation, because, and I know we don't want to get too far into the financial part of it in this segment, but when you decrease or increase one thing, there are two moving parts, and I think Mr. D. Green was speaking to that. And if you will look down at the statement that was provided, the expense for the football program decreased, however, the corresponding revenue was not. So both parts will have to be reviewed. So, okay, you have that in minutes? Okay. Well, all right, let's, we had one other announcement. We have an announcement that we want to make, but it's, Mr. Dudley, it's yours in reference to what's being discussed now. You have your hand up.
It is, I was gonna make that remark earlier, but you guys were finishing that part off.
Okay. Thank you.
And we deal with revenues by tracking, by football and basketball, Madam Chairperson. You talk about expenditures and allotted. We haven't had a football league in 2 or 3 years, a basketball league in 2 or 3 years. So we haven't used any of that money because we haven't had a league.
Okay, have we completed?
Public comments, we haven't made it to the announcement. I think Mr. Dola is public comments, right?
Okay, right. After Mr. Doda, then we're gonna hear from Mr. Edwards on the announcements.
Okay, real quick, I don't know what you would put public, statements regarding, anything regarding public safety. I don't know what you would put that under, but it would seem to me it would apply to any and every meeting, whether it's on the agenda or not. There's a lot of things going on in the city. People are talking, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at the barbershop, and at a nail shop or wherever it's at. There are always some clarifications that need to come from our city leaders, whether it's fire, police, or whatever it is. There's always some clarification or some public comments that need to be made from our city leaders, and that's just what people expect. What I'm referring to is that the mayor, you're over all of the other city, the mayor's office is over all the other city departments, like fire, police, and all that. They all report to the mayor's office, right? Anytime we have an incident of high regard, a killing, or anything like that in the city, and I'm not talking about out in Parish Line, but I'm talking about in the city of Bastrop, we want to always make sure that that gets addressed. If it doesn't get addressed, then the citizen thinks their understanding is that it's being swept under the rug. And if we have that, if the sentiment is that it's being swept under the rug, that means somebody is not doing their job. And again, I'm not talking about nobody. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. There's a lot of ideas and a lot of rumors swirling around. I know you can't address every rumor, but anytime something as major as a killing is happened in the city of Bastrop, there needs to be a statement that comes from either the mayor, the police chief, a police captain, or somebody in a leadership position. Because if you don't, a lot of things are going to be said, and it's important about what's being said. It's important to know what's being said because it's coming from the public, and if it's coming from the public, that has to do with the way a person is feeling. So all I'm asking is that for going forward, transparency about what's happening with an investigation, because, and then the next thing I want to address is protocol. There has to be a protocol in place about approaching a subject or dealing with a dangerous situation. I'm pretty sure there is some kind of proper protocol for that. And if that protocol is not being met, I understand. I give kudos to the fire, to the police, because I think they all the majority of them do a great job. I have no problem with police. But what we do have a problem with, what I have a problem with, is that it looks like certain things are not being addressed. And it has to be addressed from our city leaders. So going forward, I'm just saying, going forward, if anything major in our city happens like that, let's not try to find a way. Now, and I'm not talking about anybody, I'm just talking about the circumstance. If there is anything major going on in our city, I would appreciate, and I think a lot of the rest of the citizens would appreciate as well, that if it's talked about from an official standpoint and not left for us to, get together and talk about it or, what have you. I just think those things are important enough to be addressed from a leadership perspective.
Good or bad.
Good or bad, that's
Good
right.
or bad.
I definitely agree, and also from our standpoint, sometimes as councilmen, I can't speak for the administration, we hear just what you hear.
Right.
So we don't, it's not like we receive the information we have and we don't say anything.
Right.
What we saying is our speculation just as well as you are,
Right.
So,
Some type of announcement.
yeah, we don't have the information.
Yeah,
That we would like to have.
And again, real quick, some of the major reason why I say that is because we do look on TV and we see across social media where you have other cities that that address things. And then when we have unresolved murders and things in the city, then that's one of the major things that make the city of Bastrop look bad. That's not just it's not just black that makes the city of Bastrop look bad. It's our public safety. It's our public safety. So we need to make sure that when the police hold people, when they stop somebody and hold somebody accountable, we need to make sure they're also being held accountable for things that they do that we know are not right. And that's coming from a citizen's perspective.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doe.
Thank you. The point is well taken. And, you know, something in terms of jurisdiction lines and who is the appropriate person to speak to a particular issue, and if you have no knowledge of it, to put out in the public domain. So your point is well taken. You're looking at jurisdiction lines. Okay.
Before we go forward, can we accept Councilman Green back in the meeting?
Okay.
I make a motion to accept Councilman Green back in the meeting.
Sure. Okay.
All right, I am moving.
Okay. Usually the minute taker before it's the time of departure.
I just want to be recognized, so because we have an important vote. If you leave, if you just, you can't, if you come back, somebody protested to the board of ethics to be non-vote. So I want to make sure that I'm legally to vote. I don't want no misconceptions. I don't want to be default by not being ethical.
You officially back in the meeting. Okay, that brings us to, we spent quite a bit of time, either 40 to 30 minutes, you know, how was it? But announcements. And we have with us Mr. Ronnie Edwards and his wife. You raise your hand. Mrs. Edwards is also here, and I want to commend Mr. and Ms. Edwards. They've taken on a project through the police jury, and we are right upon Martin Luther King's birthday, a day of service. So I'll let Mr. Edwards talk about what his venture, and I plan, and I have pledged that that's going to be my community service, is to share with him and his wife and whoever else is coming. Okay, Mr. Mayo.
Yes,
Okay.
so I would like to take the opportunity to recognize Melvin Mayo, who's also a member of our board. Basically, for everybody who's not aware, we organized a nonprofit organization to clean up and restore an old abandoned cemetery in the city of Bastrop. It's over on Martin Luther King South. It's Western Pine Cemetery. Anybody in here familiar with that cemetery? If you have any relatives in it or whatever, friends in it, we've come together, organized to clean it up. The police jury, as the mayor indicated, voted on December 9th to turn control of the cemetery over to our nonprofit organization. And so we're going to be having on the 20th, which is Martin Luther King Day, Day of Service, a cleanup activity at the cemetery. We're not going to be cleaning up, but we are reaching out to everybody who might have family and friends buried out there, trying to get them to come together at the cemetery on the 20th, and we'll start the process. We will begin to figure out, how to clean it up, how to get all the grave tombstones and all those things repaired. And so we're calling up on the community, and we're also calling up on the city to be supportive of this effort. We just found out that the maps have been redrawn. The cemetery was in Councilmember Bradford's district, and now it's in Councilman Green's district, so Dee Green. So, it's in the city limits. We need funds. We're having this event on the 20th, and I want to encourage everybody and the council and the mayor we're asking for some funding. We need some funding and some assistance with this. So we would hope that you all can figure out. And I wanted to say when I started talking about the budget, when I came in, I was excited, but after listening to 2 or 3 things on the agenda, I kind of got depressed. Okay, but now I'm feeling a little good because I see that after listening to the citizens that all of us of government here sort of come together and say, hey, you know, let's take a look at this. Let's take a step and go and let's redo it. So I'm feeling good. Okay, but it should. I shouldn't come in here too many of these meetings and see that we're taking things like the sports programs and the recreational activities and things like that from the youth, because really there's not a lot here to do, and so we need to keep them engaged. But I'm here tonight to keep it on a high note and to ask you all to be very supportive of us. I want to invite each of you to our event this coming Saturday. And if you have a sponsor or someone, this coming Monday, I'm sorry, Martin Luther King's birthday. And if you have a sponsor or someone that you can bring with you, introduce them, we, the citizens, I mean, and this is a beautification project too. It's an economic development. If you have been out Martin Luther King South, and you probably never noticed if you didn't know that there was a cemetery over there. And so this is deteriorating the neighborhood and all of that. And so this is an economic development initiative where we come together to not only fix up the neighborhood, but also to return some sense of dignity and respect to the people who've been buried out there. And so we're calling on you guys to be supportive of this and to help us in any way you can.
When did the police jury turn over control to the nonprofit?
December 9th.
Of last year.
Of this year. Last year, December 9th.
Yeah, because I remember back before this administration, Barry Kai had invited me out. I didn't know that the cemetery was there. He invited me out. We walked through it. It was like probably one of the worst sights I ever seen in my life. So, and ironically, Mr. Running invited me on the board, be a part of the nonprofit. And later we found out that it was in my district, so that was all in God's plan.
And so I just want to say, really been encouraged by the support that I've gotten so far from the members of the council and the mayor with regard to this. And so now we're just saying it's time, talk is cheap. Everybody can talk about it, be excited about saying, hey, let's do it. And then when time comes to do it, it's going to take resources. And that's where we are now. Well, we need the resources. We know that now is the time to get it done because all of the weeds and bushes and all that stuff are dead. And so it's going to be easier to clean up than if we wait till the summer when it all grow back up. So we're trying to get our resources in place now so that we can get this taken care of.
Hey, Ms. Running, your wife is trying to say something.
Oh, the event on Saturday, on Monday is from 1 to 4. And so we're going to have tents up out there, and hopefully we'll be able to have some heat, so that won't be a problem. We don't, out at the cemetery, there's some 200 or more people buried out there, and there's no official listing of those individuals. So one of our processes we're going to be going through, figuring out who's out there, looking at headstones. There are a lot of areas where there are no headstones and just deep little holes and all of that. So it's going to be a challenge, but it's a challenge that we have undertaken, and we look forward to community support from this.
I had a question. You did say you was nonprofit, because he was in my district, like you said, until they remapped it. Now, under this American Rescue Fund that we was given for each district of the city, I think we all were expecting to get, if you stay with us, please don't leave, I think we're going to get $45,000 to $50,000 somewhere in there. I was told that we can help, anything to help beautify or do a good deed within the city, that funds would be available to each district could make it. Like I say, not in my district, I wish you was still there, I definitely, that would be one, I think I had you on my list if I found out it was redistricted. But like, I mean, the zone had.
Don't take me off the list, don't keep me on the list.
Okay, I'm gonna keep you on my list, but I think it Mr. Green list. But we'll work together, and maybe that's something that we can contribute to. Is it private or not private? No?
Who was,
Well,
who did the research?
the police jury is doing research on it now, but it looks like, up until a certain time, Alfred Smith, was running one section of the cemetery. There's 5 sections, out there, A through E. He was in, E, I believe it is. And then the other 4 sections, I think it's.
D.D. Robinson out of, Monroe.
Madison, John Madden is the person who, we found out that owns the property. But now B.D. Madison, was involved in the cemetery with Mr. Alfred Smith at some time, yes. And he was a former, police jury, one of the first black police jurymen in Monroe, I believe.
Do you know how many acres this is on? I'm sorry.
Well, based on those 2 owners I just told you about, it's about 3 acres.
And if I'm understanding, your organization, what's the name? I know the property has been donated to your organization. I'm understanding right?
Well, we
You're in
are,
the process.
yeah, it's been transferred, yeah.
Okay.
And control, I'm gonna say control of the property.
Control it, okay,
Yeah.
but your organization itself, your charter, you're, chartered on a nonprofit, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, I want to speak that because that's just like other nonprofit organizations that we can help make things look better in Bastrop, and I think it qualify. And I'm not sure, I can't speak for Mr. Green, but that was in my district. That's just something maybe he'll consider. We get to spend $45,000.
Yeah, if it's legal, then don't.
If it's legal, yeah, definitely don't do nothing illegal with it, but like she just said, nonprofit organization, from my understanding, I asked that question.
Profit or non-profit, you can always do a CEA, as long as you're within, and the art fund requirements aren't on you, it's just the legality of doing the CEA, because those funds are actually washed and taken out of art, and they're just regular city funds being dedicated to every district, so there's not even the art requirements for them, it's just whatever purpose
You want to use it.
we can do,
Okay.
and that's
all
something
I
we
think
can
is
see.
better. Okay, well, I just
But
want to.
also, Councilman Bradford, you still can donate to this as well.
If I can, I keep, you said I'm taking him off the list, I'm not gonna take him off the list, I'm gonna keep him on the list. I think it's great work.
Don't make Mr. Green's funds.
I'm gonna ask each of you if you could, and if the law permits, I think this is a citywide project here. We're not just taking care of people who are buried in, Calvin Green's district. These are people from all across the city and the parish that are buried there. And so this is a citywide.
That's a big project, I can tell you legally. It's a big project.
Mr. Evans?
It's in there. That's
You
horrible.
got me now.
Okay.
But I do thank you for taking on that.
That is.
I can meet you for that.
Thank you, guys. And again, I'm inviting you to come out on, Monday at 1 o'clock. The mayor's gonna be there. We're gonna have a brief, sort of historical perspective about the cemetery. My wife and the team, they planning some, fun activities. We're gonna have food, the food truck is gonna be there selling food. It's for us to raise money, so we won't have any free food, but it will, whatever contribution you make will be tax deductible, for the event.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
The,
The flyer, we have a few.
Good job.
let me get some understanding here.
Question?
You have to come to my,
I have at you.
let me get some clarity. The police jury turned the care and control of it over to you. It is within the jurisdiction of the city limits, but it was privately owned. Let me make sure I understand.
The street, the highway, are down there. You can't even, walk down the street without, hitting a pothole. So, we don't, what I see here, that we can get down to the cemetery, but, the highway ain't presentable. We need to do some type of work before we can do anything. They're gonna have a problem getting in and out down that street.
Okay, the line of demarcation is Peters Alley.
It's a little beyond that.
It's beyond, it's
Peters
beyond
Alley.
that.
No,
Where the city-
The street, what she's saying is from, when you turn on Martin Luther King South up into Peters Alley, the road that belongs to the city. After Peter Alley, it belongs to the parish.
That's correct.
It belongs to the-
But the, like,
The track.
no,
It's a survey.
like the land, like the cemetery is inside the city, and so is houses, but for the street, the young lady, April, I've been in touch with her, she gave me what Jeff Mitchell gave me. It stopped at Peter Alley.
Under this new map, I'm gonna show you. From what I see on the new map, when they gave it to you,
Yeah,
it goes all the way to the track.
that was my
I was
question.
surprised.
No, that was my question, cause I was like, well, if we go to the track, that means that from the time you go on Martin Luther King South over to the track belongs to the city. And after, speak with the mayor, and I think I spoke with the lady at the, voter registration office. It's just, it stopped at Peter Alley.
It stops at Peters Alley. I was with the surveyor.
Yeah, so I don't wanna, there was some question, I think, about the ownership of the cemetery. And like I said, the property has been adjudicated to the parish. Okay, and it was adjudicated to the parish based on lack of taxes and all those other kinds of things. And so because it was adjudicated property, they was not able to take care of it. Turn it over to us. So I don't want to talk about whether it's on the organization own it or whether we control it. All I know is that we have authority and have been given the authority to go in, take control of the cemetery, repair it, restore it, and get it back up operation. And that's what we're planning on doing.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis.
Thank you, Ms. Evans.
Ms. Ellis, Mr. Mayor, you one of your board members? You one of the newly formed board members?
No comment.
Okay. That brings us down to, also, there's a program going on at St. John's Church. I don't have the time. I believe I posted it. But there's a Martin Luther King program going on. Also, we have a citizen named Mr. Jesse Ware Jr., who will be 100 years old tomorrow. So we want to embrace him and be thankful for the longevity of his life and wisdom that he has to offer to the community. And we're presently looking into the flight grant. Grants have so many stipulations, and I'm hoping, and this is just getting started, that some of the strings won't be as stringent, because there's always something such as ownership or heirship, and people had to clear up who owned how much of what. And those were the things that kind of served as barriers in our getting some money. So we're looking at some blight grant money. This is in the very initial stage. And also the SIP, the Community Infrastructure Grant, is another grant that we're looking into. Again, we ran out of money the last time we applied, so we are applying for that as well. That concludes my announcements. Are there any other announcements?
You made this, there was one line.
Ms. Tad, any update on healthcare?
Nothing really, just still flu is going around, so be cautious. Being around sick people, coming out when you're sick. If you're sick, stay home. That's the best advice I can give anybody.
Okay. All right, that, any other announcements? Okay. Moving right along, that brings us down to item number 5. I accept previous minutes, special meeting November 6th, 2024, and regular meeting November 14th, and regular meeting December 12th, and special meeting December 18th, and December 30th, 2024.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept previous minutes, November 6th, regular meeting November 14th, and regular meeting December 12th, and special meetings December 18th and 30th.
We have a motion.
I'd like to make a correction if I could.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
On the minutes, the last two meetings, I will say that December, what did you just say, Amanda? December. November 18th, yeah, especially, yeah, I like to, make a motion that, the minutes do not cover where the $600,000 was stated in the both meetings, the special meeting as well as the regular meeting. And I was reading through the minutes very carefully, and I did not see what that said. I'd like the minutes to reflect that the mayor said we have an additional $600,000, somewhere not mentioned in the minutes. I know the minutes, where I come along, that minutes are very important when it comes to state, especially when it comes to that amount of money. I just like the minutes to reflect, the $600,000. And the $600,000 also not reflected in the 24-25 budget, which was issued from my research. We received those funded in February of 2024, last year. It did not show in the July, but we have to be voting on things we just overlooked. That's a very important, like you mentioned, the audit came in. I'm sure the audit come in and missed $600,000, not in the budget, spoke about in the December minutes. And one while we had received, and then to find out that I think the fund that she's referring to was allocated in February this year. I called, well, anyway, I did it alone. But anyway, I just want the minutes to reflect that, that $600,000 somewhere. I think the mayor, I let her give her things too, because I'm very interested in what I found out. Go ahead, Mayor.
Okay, we received a $600,000 grant for 3 streets. And those streets are currently being worked on: Jackson Street, Rosina, and what's the other one? If you come to the microphone, Mr. Oral, since we don't speak for long, those streets are Eastwood. Okay, that's $600,000. I referred to the possibility because of some funding found through GOSEP from the stems from the Hurricane Laura 2018 that is working its way through the portal. We do not have that money, so let the record, while Mr. Bradford has made his wish, what he wants to be reflected in the record, but let me stand for accuracy. We discovered this, and it's working its way through the system. We do not, and I say again, we do not have that money in our possession. It's working its way through a portal.
We're working on those streets right now as I speak. As we speak, we don't have the money for it. The $600,000 that I'm referring to is different from the street grant money from my research. But we'll leave that there. I don't want to get into who shot John. I just want the record to show in the minutes that it did not reflect the $600,000 that Mayor Ali spoke about in the last 2 meetings. One while we had it, one while we didn't, and I want to know why it's not showing up in the budget. And I'm sure the audit's going to want to know as well when the audit report is done. If it may show up there, it may show up in the budget, and it hasn't shown up yet. She just, well, her own recognition said we don't have, but it was spoke of.
I did speak of it, it was discovered, but it was working its way, and let me be extraordinarily clear on that. It's working its way through the portal. Okay. I never said it was in the bank.
Okay, I'm not saying it in the bank either, I'm just saying you spoke of it, and it's not in the minutes. That's what I'm saying, we talking about the minutes now. It's not in the minutes.
Let's move on.
Hold on, Mayor, we won't speak, but we're discussing about the minutes. Whether to accept the minutes.
Okay.
The reason I'm, Councilman, Kathy, the reason I'm kind of skeptical about the minutes, because I want everybody listening, Get your pen out. At February the 9th, 2023. If you go back on YouTube and watch the meeting, February 9th, 2023, you don't have to watch it often to put you on the mark. Go to the 6 minute and 25 second, 6 minutes and 25 second mark. And this is what was said. The mayor, we was talking about the minutes. The mayor said, this is a quote, her and Ms. Goldman went back into the meeting, went after the meeting, met, and changed the minutes because the minutes did not accurately reflect what actually transpired at the meeting. So after Ms. Holmes had did the notation and dictation and what occurred to the meeting, they got back in the office and somehow it's on the record. They said that it did not accurately reflect the meeting, so therefore the meeting was changed. So what I want to know is how, if a person is in a meeting and they doing the notation and dictating, the meeting's supposed to reflect what she thought she heard, not the opinions of what the mayor or the city clerk thought that they heard. We got to go by what was actually kept, the notes, the original notes of the meeting. And I'm gonna tell you those dates again. So I don't want no misconception. It's February 9th, 2023 at the 6 minute and 25 second mark. It said they changed the minutes because it did not adequately reflect what actually transpired. Now, that is open to interpretation. We cannot allow a meeting to be openly interpreted by just because a person think that the meeting should have went one way. Because that's why we got Ms. Holmes notated for what I'm trying to get at. These records are just notation. But you know what don't lie? That videotape. So we got to make sure that that videotape is not altered, not edited, is in its purest form. Because that is going to take the place of the minutes, because the minutes are snapshots. That is actually from start to finish, the video. So whoever we get to do this, we got to make sure that belongs to the city, not the person that's doing the recording, because it becomes their personal thing. This is going to belong to the city, and it cannot be tampered with in any way. It needs to be in its purest form, because that's what's going to take the place of these minutes. Because just as what I said, you cannot leave the minutes open to interpretation. So therefore, Mr. Bradford, he's brought this up several times. He said that, hey, this is not in the minutes. This was omitted. So what I'm saying is, it's a good thing to have minute takers, but we got to make sure that our audio is not tampered with in any way. It's not spliced, diced, or whatever. It's got to be in its purest form. So therefore, I'm reluctant to accept the minutes, because as I went back and I was doing my research on something else, I was just having to run across that, and that kind of piqued my curiosity. I said, that don't sound right. So that's my take on it.
Okay, Ms. Tappan made a motion on the minutes, 2024. Is there a second?
I second with the necessary correction.
Your,
She got to reword,
Necessary correction.
with the necessary correction.
I concur.
Yeah, because speaking on that $600,000, when we was getting prepared to adopt a GOTEP, you mentioned the $600,000. So when we are being questioned about the $600,000.
I mentioned it in a couple of meetings ago when we were working on the policy. It is not money that has been received. I mentioned it.
Later.
Yes. Okay, what is your pleasure?
We accept the minutes with the necessary corrections that Bishop was talking about.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consideration, item number 6, consideration of and action on reports of committees appointed of the governing body. A, Finance Committee report. Mr. Green?
I vote to reject the finance committee report because based on what my interpretation is, the legal papers. So therefore, I ask this council to respectfully reject the finance committee report.
Okay.
I second.
I had a question on it.
Oh, we're gonna go to it
Oh,
first.
go
Go ahead, Mr.
Well,
Brown.
you can go ahead. Just let me know when I'm coming. I had.
You go ahead right now,
Okay.
because I gotta find it.
Oh, okay, because, I'm looking at, Mr. Jones, how much, Mr. Jones, what your salary, monthly salary, right?
$4,000.
$4,000. Okay, can you tell me why, in December show 8,000?
If that is for, so I submit an invoice monthly at usually around the 20th of each month. And I would receive November's paycheck in December, and then I would submit another invoice in December and receive December's paycheck in January, which is what I did this thing. I don't check the checks, but that's when I submit the invoices, and that's generally when I get paid.
I understand your statement, I'm just wondering, is this a typo or whatever it may be, but it doesn't make this any effect because all of you received $8,000, that was right, that's going back before the council. And I'm looking at it here, November, I have both, 4,000 in November, that's the way, that's how I believe in your contract, for it, but I just see, maybe you said, this is December. We're discussing December, we're not discussing January, because we're always a month behind.
Well, January is when I get the paycheck. I don't know when they cut it because I do an invoice to it. Now, I will tell you with November's invoice is I submitted November's invoice right before the first December meeting. So that might explain why there is 2 checks cut in there, but I've looked at the check register and there's only 12 checks for the year.
Okay. I'm just curious,
And then what had occurred was with Thanksgiving and all the holidays, I submitted the December and November invoices together. I don't get
December and November together?
Correct.
Well, you shouldn't show up on November then and December.
Well, I think it's because it pays one month back.
Okay, but it paid you 8,000, I understand it paid in November, 4,000, I understand that clearly, no discussion about that. Here's in November, 2024.
That's
Really
what I.
plain. But it shows this page, I'm just saying what it shows.
Yeah,
Here it
that-
shows
that
in
November-
December, you received $8,000.
I did not receive a check for the December invoice until the meeting. I showed up last week for the meeting and there was no meeting, and that's when I received the December check.
Well, it shouldn't have showed for January then. You already got your January check?
No, I haven't got my January check yet. My January check will be given to me February, the first week in February.
In other words, I'm gonna check my pay register too, maybe I can. But that never paying.
I know.
We'll move on, we'll move on.
I know at one point in the first of last year,
Check my pay register.
there was a thought, I had to audit the bank account of mine because there were several invoices that were outstanding. And I had to audit it, and I said, look, there was a missing check here.
Thank you. I just wanted to bring that, I just caught my eye that you got paid double. I mean, your pay increased double, that's all.
No.
It did it last year too, didn't it?
Huh?
Did you do that last year?
It sometimes it does. They got.
I just
At
want
some
to
point I had to go marry up invoices and checks.
Check.
There was a check outstanding 3 months back, but that was dealing with the prior city clerk.
That's fine, that's fine.
That was
That's fine. I just wanted, we checking, spending, what goes in, what come out, as a keeper.
And I printed it in December, but I didn't get it till January. I guarantee you that.
Okay,
They still sit in the car.
I'm just saying what the record shows.
I got,
Go ahead.
okay, I got another question about the finance, report. It's number 15. It's Bastrop Feed and Seed, the post, slats, labor, barbed wire, and et cetera. It was $8,827.88. Okay, now, and I was told at the finance meeting, the Bastrop Feed and Seed installed a fence. Now, if my calculation is right, I think 8,000 is more than 5,000. And the 8,000 exceeds the threshold without coming before the council. That's one element of it. Second element of it is, this was used out of the blight money, the $25,000 grant for blight. This fence was put up at Griffin Park, or gonna be put up at Griffin Park, whichever. But it came out of the blight grant. Now, it's used for blight, I understand that, but how can you use a grant that specifies what is to be used for, and you take it and you use it to put up a fence at Griffin Park? And how could you do it without bidding it out? And somebody help me out now. 8,000 is more than 5,000. So why didn't it come back before the council? And hold on, let me finish, attorney, before you weigh in. Because now, we got an ordinance says that anything over 5,000 have to come back before the council, right? I'm just asking a question. Did we do an ordinance?
We did.
So, now, the ordinance has never been challenged in court, over at 4th District Court or nowhere. So, far as we know, the ordinance that we put in place, that you drafted, that we believe to be was current and accurate. And if there was any other stipulations when you went and looked and found out that we had to make the ordinance safe and effective. So if we was under the impression that she had to come back before us, and she did not come back before us, and there's some loophole, explain that.
Yeah, you need to make a complaint to the, if she violated an ordinance, and it's any person's belief that an ordinance is violated, which clearly we have an ordinance that says the spending limit, just have to make a complaint to either the Attorney General, Legislative Order, or the local authorities for a violation of the ordinance, because there is a penalty for that, and see where it goes from there.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna move on to the next one. What was that? 54. What is it? Key Market Solutions website design. $2,500. I want the people to know this is nothing personal. This is not an attack on anyone. This is protocol. We try. It's 54. You right? So we already have an IT man. And we already have another person that does record. Now, it's a third person coming in, and people say, well, IT is IT. Well, the IT person goes in and do all of the fire department stuff, the police department stuff, so they're astute at designing websites or whatever. Because that's what he do. He go in, I can call Mr. Floyd or whatever right now, he'll go in and he'll tell me anything he need to do. My thing about it is, right now, the city is at a crux, but right now it's crunch time. We continuously keep adding on to the deficit when we know goodness well that in about 18 months, if you don't change your spending habits, we're gonna be in this control of the state. The state probably gonna come in and analyze our finances. Now that is facts. So what I'm saying is, you're gonna be good stewards of money. It's nothing personal. I think you might probably do a good job. The second thing, I see a payment of $2,500. Now I want this council to go back in time. The Jordache building, what is it called? the legal building over there? Ditto. So, I want to follow me on this. The council had to come before the council to break a contract, right? So we did a contract with those people. Mr. Floyd, he's under what? Contract. So you tell me that this person comes in, you add another job, and they're not city employees. They are outsourced. They are outsourced people. So they are rendering a service for the city of Bastrop. And if we continue to let this go, who is to say that the mayor just can't go out and call it something else and bring other people in? We have not done a contract. So it's nothing personal. I'm just saying, we haven't done a contract for this services. And to just thumb the nose up at the council, that is getting old. Because if you gonna do contracts for some, why not others? Just like the technology building. What did we have to sign with them? What did they sign with us? I can't hear nobody.
Contract.
They signed a contract. So everybody that does business with the city of Bastrop, Mr. Jones, are you on the contract with us?
No, actually, I'm not underneath contract.
Well, you used to be on the contract. Somebody signed the contract when we first started.
Nope, nobody ever signed a contract when I started. I was hired as an official and paid. Now, your previous city attorney had offered up a contract.
Oh, that's what I'm getting. I'm saying somebody, not you. I was wrong with
But
the
that
person.
person's actually paid as a W-2 employee now, so you pay FICA and everything else. So they're paid much more than what $48,000 is that normally was paid.
Okay, so I got the wrong person, but I had the right to, I had an attorney, had the wrong name. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Now, my point is, we as a council cannot continuously let an administration remove the mayor out of this. I'm talking about, because I don't want people to take it personal. I'm talking about whoever's the mayor. Well, if I was sitting in that seat, I would be saying the same thing. I want open transparency. Because you cannot just come in and just say, I want to hire this person or that person, and you pay them in a way that's kind of, you ask me, it's fundamentally deceptive when it comes to the city council people. It's a way to get around instead of working together. Because I don't think nobody would object, but when you got 2-3 people doing the same job, and the fund is low. Because before we got in, if y'all was in finance meeting, we got to look for ways to cut $120,000 that this administration said we got to find because we gave the city marshal. But we got to cut funding to pay for the city marshal, but yet it's still you add to the deficit. Somebody make it make sense to me. Now, so that's I spoke with the attorney about this Key Martin Solution Group. Now, you know what's else gonna happen? If you allow this to happen, when Mr. Floyd retired, he's the IT man, right? This administration is gonna bring another firm in and call it some kind of loophole and not gonna bring it before the council. I guarantee you, if you allow this to happen, it's gonna continuously happen, and it's just gonna get bigger, and it's gonna get out of control, and you don't need a city council if you're gonna let this administration continuously operate in the manner it's been operating.
Well, I do have a question in regards to Key Solution. Because I think it was on the agenda like last month. I thought we had did away with it. So
We tabled it.
we tabled it. So we didn't take a vote on it. So how legally, David, how are they getting paid if the council didn't vote on it?
As I understand, they were paid out of ARP funds.
The problem is not the payment. See, that's when we got sidetracked. I'm glad you brought that up. We were so focused on how they got paid. That's irrelevant. If you can pay them out anything you want. That's not on the contract. The problem we can't allow happen, you hiding behind how they paid out of ARP fund. Who cares how they paid? What I'm getting at is the method that going about is bringing this Key Solution Group in. They're not under contract. You did not get consent from the city council to bring them in. That is my point. I don't care if we pay it out of the general fund or the Joe Blow fund.
So
What I'm getting at is, we did not sign a contract with Key Marketing Solution.
being on the information, Attorney Jones, being that it was a contract agreed upon, how are they operating and being paid?
As I understand, they were just as you would hire somebody to do your plumbing, not your plumbing, like if you had a toilet that was backed up, they performed one service, they submitted an invoice that was within the ARC funds, was able to be paid because it's budgeted, it was allocated, and they submitted an invoice for that service. There's not an extenuating ongoing contract for outside the budget year that they were budgeted for under the professional services rules.
Councilman Jones?
I'm not
Okay, Attorney Jones, you just stated something. You know plumbing don't break every day. When you get a contractor to come in and do your plumbing, that's a one-time deal. You're probably not seeing it for another 3 or 4 years. This is every month.
Yeah, well, actually, so you're actually in the same avenue. It's for a set period of time that was within the budget amount.
But
So,
The budget amount, this is the ARPA money.
correct, so you have to have a contract if you're going to have something occur for a long period that's outside the budgeted amount. But you can hire somebody on the professional services. It's a capped agreement. It's an agreement that, hey, I'm gonna pay you to do this here, and you have it budgeted for.
So the best way at this moment, because I guess
The best way to cure this problem is to have your, what we would call, what I talked about last time, your procurement policies wherein there is 3 choices for something, and you bring it before and you say, hey, here's the 3 choices. Your authority is limited to having to produce 3 choices for professional services or anything else like that. I was reading through others for other jurisdictions. Some of them capped it at 20, some of them capped it elsewhere. They say, hey, look, you gotta have these policies and procedures to do it.
yeah, because I guess from all our standpoint is that when we have something put in front of us, then we table it. Then here we come to the finance meeting, we see a payment for it. So, and you said it was budgeted, so I guess at that moment, what we need to start doing is just amending every line item to keep it from happening.
Well, yeah, that's the council way to be able to do it. Is because that's where y'all's authority is.
Right.
And that's what I said a long time ago. Your greatest power as a council is your budget.
I always
And it's detailed as you can get with it.
I say the same thing.
Because when you make broad categories,
We can hope for transparency and we can hope for this, but it don't have to take place. And where we hold our power and authority is
all your power is in that budget.
But we shouldn't have to even get to that point. That's my.
It should.
I don't disagree with that.
Attorney Jones. Now, we're gonna go back in time. Why was this even started? Disability Act, right?
That's because we were mandated by law to pass the electronic meeting.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at. So, anybody watch Louisiana Legislature? Anybody watch Congress operate? So my thing is, broadcast it, just like we doing now. But you have no way of buzzing in, asking a question. So what's the difference between this? They are a state entity, and we talking about federal. So why are we facing this stringent thing where we gotta pay somebody already $600? Now we pay them $2,500 because we want to be in compliance, but the state does not even do it. They record just like what we record. You can go and look. I understand what you're saying about the live.
They actually do in the legislature now. Now, in the previous years, they did not whenever I was going down there. But now they have conformed in the state legislature. You can participate electronically. Used to, they'd make you drive down there, and even if you wanted to submit a green card, red card, or white card, you had to drive down there and do it personally at the meeting time. Now you can participate electronically.
Point of information. How do they do it electronically?
They provide so whenever you make contact with them and say that you are a disabled person and that you fall underneath the American Disabilities Act, They then give you a link to participate through some form of Zoom or some other stuff.
I'm glad we going there, because my point is, if you got an iPhone or any phone and you record, right? And if they want to be on the agenda, they call just like to get on the agenda, right? Everybody got an iPhone, work for the city just about. When you look at our bill, we paid so much for everybody's cell phone. Well, why can't we get a remote type deal, select camera or whatever, for free, and have it operated remote, and somebody call in or whatever, they call into their cell phone, city employees, get up to that mic right there and have them participate in it. And it's cheap and free.
So your biggest issue is just the records retention requirement underneath it, as long as you have the ability to maintain the footage. If there's video, or if it's just audio, to maintain the audio. The biggest issue comes in whenever you have somebody appearing on video, you have to have some way to maintain that for 2 years on your server, you're wherever. You can't maintain it on somebody else's, you have to maintain it on yours at your facility. It's the records retention.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're gonna be recording it. When they speaking, it's gonna be picking up just like what we picking up. So it's gonna be a part of that. It's gonna be archived in the record also.
Correct. You just wouldn't be able to do the video part unless you captured the actual video of the person.
So I'm just saying this. I want to participate in. They're gonna put me. You just said audio, but you're talking about
just do
video too.
audio only.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. You just said video.
Well, I said audio or video.
Okay. Okay, well, we can do the video. We can, what I'm saying is, we are pressed for money, right?
Yeah.
The city.
You can hold a phone up to a microphone.
I mean,
I've said that before.
what I'm getting at is we can't even pay our police officers, give them a $2 raise, but we keep bringing other entities in. Every time you turn around, we add to the deficit instead of trying to shrink it so we can get our police force up and running. That's the only thing. That's the only problem I have is that we keep adding, but when it's for the public general interest, nobody has that same energy. Just like scenario, and you know this, the auditor gonna come in and probably say, hey, you got people doing duplicate jobs. You got this person doing it and this person doing it. Why y'all paying the same person to do the same job?
It's actually, yes, that is an audit finding. I've had that audit finding before back in 2019.
Okay, well, that's what I'm telling you. You the lead attorney, you see it's gonna be an audit finding, so why are we participating in it?
Well, you asked me right here, right now, and that was my opinion. This is the first time somebody's asked me about it.
Okay.
I give my opinion whenever, my legal opinion, and it's.
Cause I looked up some information. There are a lot of cities that use Facebook Live or YouTube as official.
Well, you can use it, but there's no way to participate in it. You're not gonna meet the electronic one because you can't store there, but they do use it as a secondary way to publish it. Because the requirements I'm saying, but if you're actually using it as the platform to interact, you can't store the records because they haven't stored. That's the problem with that record, and that has been
So you
talked about.
basically have to own the tape.
Correct, and that's what's been talked about, amending that electronic thing that they put in so that requirement, 'cause it caused a great expense. When we first looked at it, they were talking $10,000. Pretty much everybody's gone to this little device called an OWL, which then stores it on your stuff. But yeah, that records retention part is what really kills out some of the more free platforms, because you're not storing it on yours, it's being stored on theirs.
Oh, okay. Was it anything else?
We gotta make a vote
On the financial report?
No.
he just said we reject.
Okay. And let me, for the record, clarify that $2,500 is the final payment for rebuilding the entire website. So we'll move on to item number
B.
B, is it B?
Yes.
No, it's should be letter A.
We did it.
Okay, planning and zoning,
That be-
committee report.
Good afternoon, my name's Debbie Rogers, President of the Planning and Zoning Commission. At our last meeting, we had one special use request, that was at 1013 Charles Avenue. The lady, it's a metal building, and it holds about 50 people, she said, and she used to have parties, like birthday parties and anniversaries and things like that in the building. And when COVID hit, of course, she couldn't do that because of the number of people, so she just kind of shut her business down. So she really just came back to us to be approved to open her business up. It wouldn't be, like late night, like after 10 o'clock or anything, but it's just strictly going to be like parties, birthday parties, anniversaries, maybe somebody's getting married and they want to have their reception there, things like that. So anyway, we did approve that.
What address was that?
Charles Street.
Pardon me?
On Charles.
He has the address.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1013 Charles Avenue. It's a road that goes by the bread house, old bread house off of McWright Street. But it's not behind the bread house itself, it's across the street. It's a metal building, it's been there forever.
Whatever, used to have jumpers out there.
Right, right, okay. The things that were approved by right is, a Dollar General Market, that's at 2017 East Madison Avenue. That is beside, Harbor Freight, which used to be the old Fred's building. And that's a Dollar General Market, so they'll have food items there. Okay. Next thing was 653 East Madison Avenue, Modest Touch Boutique, and that's in the corner of the Magnolia Shopping Center. If you're facing the shopping center, it's that building right there to the right. I'm thinking it used to be a hair place, but I'm not sure about that. And that's all we have.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Attorney, before she leave, you know, we was talking about zoning and planning, a while back, and it was a step that you was gonna take out of the planning, zoning and planning commission. You remember that meeting we had, and you said when you went back and you rewrote the zoning and all that, you added an extra step, but we didn't approve it, so you was gonna go and remove it. I just didn't get back with you, because she just don't know, but we, you know, if you don't bring it back up, you know, we can slide under the radar. And we all voted to remove it.
Is that the appeals board?
Yeah, you did, you added some other step or something to it, and we said no. Yeah, it was too many steps, and you said, we all voted to take it out, and you said you would, but we never got anything, you know, definitive, and we never got anything legally saying that it was removed. I just had to do all my papers at the house, I'll find it, please.
I had it on, I'm trying to remember what section it was. Was it Board of Adjustment?
So it was another step that you had included, and I said, hey, we wasn't trying to go down that route. There was another little board that had unelected officials in it. It was not that one. There was another one that you had.
It was in the Code Enforcement Act.
Yeah.
It's that board's still there in that act. It's just never been put together. It was the Code Enforcement Act that has the advisement board on, it's basically the blight committee.
I don't think I did, but I'll look to see. I like speaking facts, so I'm gonna go back and do my research, and I'll tell you exactly what it was. I gotta go through all my papers, but it just dawned on me when she was speaking
Yeah,
that we never got anything back from you saying that it was taken out.
But that was the membership on the code enforcement act.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rogers. Ms. Holmes, you had a tax report that was given.
Yes, ma'am, I did not bring my copy, but I did put a sheet, at your seats this evening. You had a report in your packet. This one is a bit more clearer to, explain as best as I can and to understand. And again, I apologize, I don't have that report before me. But I highlighted that this is for tax year 2024, which is the tax year we are currently in. We're currently collecting for tax year 2024. These are the millages and everything that we agreed upon. So that first column, the areas that I have highlighted, shows you what we have the ability to collect if everyone were to pay their taxes. And then I think the second highlight on the bottom, thank you, is showing what we have collected so far in the month of December. So you see that we have the ability to collect $3,564,092.50. We have collected so far $1,392,548.60.
Read the number again.
$1,392,548.60. And so we have yet to collect $1,684,722.93. So that's where we are so far. It states that as of December 31st, we had approximately, we had 1,330 notices left to be paid. I can say, although I do not have the figures for today, we had a great deal of mail that was processed in the last few days. And so we expect that this number has decreased quite a bit. We had a mountain of mail and a mountain of notices that we've been inputting into the system. So that 1,330 is not quite that big. That was as of December 31st. And we are, as you know, 14 days into the new year. So we should have better numbers, more to show you as we continue next month.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Holmes. And also, make a comparison. We want to make sure that the numbers were more precise. That takes us to.
Well, I have a question. I think the last meeting I asked for a code enforcement report.
Okay, the code enforcement, I did task, come on, Mr. McDuffie. I did task Mr. McDuffie with, identifying some property that belonged to a particular owner, and I don't want to call the name out publicly. So we have a whole listing of the properties, and the next step was to take it to the attorney to see what would be the procedure. You want to talk about the listing of those, how many properties you found? Mr. McDuffie?
Remember off the top of my head, I didn't bring it to the board, but it was like 62 properties. Some of them had to be condemned, had to go by the council and all that. And some of them like burned buildings and stuff like that. Put some grass and clean up stuff like that.
Man, I think this is the thing, we wanted a list of those properties that's on that list.
Okay, we can get that list to you, and we were gonna give it to the attorney to kind of decipher everything. You wanna run it, or we can mail it to you. We can get that list to you pretty quickly. Okay, all right, let's. We can mail it on, or have it hand delivered. That is, okay. Number 8, action on ordinance and resolution introduced at previous meeting. Attorney Jones?
This is the, hold on, let's see. This is the finance, committee ordinance adding in the bank statements and other financial documents to be produced upon request. There was one additional thing that's in the same nature of the advertisement. It was for an amendment to provide that failure to provide those documents and or statements that are required therein. It's the contempt provision that we spoke about if they're not provided, then it's considered to be contempt of the finance committee. And that's the only addition I have, which is an F paragraph, which if you would like me to print copies of that, it's just a general contempt provision that says, and I can read it. It says, F period, contempt of the finance committee, contempt of the city council finance committee is the willful or contentious refusal or failure to produce documents or objects for inspection by the finance committee designated agent pursuant to and at the time and place designated herein or by the finance committee. So basically that says that y'all have your finance reports that y'all have requested, and that if not produced or done, then it can be considered contempt. And it's subject to a misdemeanor.
Are we on 10A? Is that where we at?
Yes.
10A? You on 10A?
10A.
Okay, I got something like 10A.
So that was one thing that I heard to add in as a compliance measure.
Ordinance 24, 4280, you referring to?
Yes, yes.
Ordinance 24, 4280. I want to look before we take a vote or whatever we got to do with this ordinance on page 2D. I thought that was restricted. I thought we had to be restricted from this ordinance. We made some.
That's not an addition. The only additions to the ordinance that exists right now are the underlying areas.
D.
Page 2D.
D is not, the only additions that you have to your ordinance are the underlined areas.
No, I said that should have been revised. We have to have been revised, my understanding.
You got on the city attorney shall be the legal advisor for the financial
Yeah, he'll sit on the committee, but he don't sit on the finance committee.
No, I'm the legal advisor
So you
to.
need advice for the city. That's everything we do.
Right.
You
Correct,
run
but
the
that
day-to-day
was-
operation, now you want to stipulate your legal advice.
That's, y'all voted on that and actually approved that.
What, this is?
Yeah, that's,
No,
the stuff that's not underlined exists in your current ordinance.
Well, I just don't think this should be stipulated in this form, the way I'm understanding it here. For the city, I'm gonna go to page 3, I'm gonna move on,
The only thing that's being added or modified from the previous is the E provision. I just provided the whole section, but the E, the underlined and bolded is what is your additional language.
okay, on page 3, let's move on. Page 3. Where it says that the chairman should be authorized to request here to any meeting. That's got to limit the power of other council members. We all sit on the committee, we all should have the power to request. We don't want to put it in just one person there. It don't even say be the assistant chairman. We don't have assistant chairman. We don't have officers of this finance committee. There's some, I think Brother Green, we discussed it one time, Brother Jay Green, discussing being the chairman. If something happened to him, he can't make it, then we just left with unsigned. I think all the alternate, I think that should stay read that all alternates should have the same power that the chairman have really to request documents. Otherwise, you violate the charter, and you also violate, you limit ability of the council, you're limiting other council ability to receive documents. I think that should be stated, ultimate instead of chairman.
Probably any member.
Yeah, okay, well, that sounds good.
That way, if there's ever a
Right,
one
we can't
person
make
member,
a matter
it's
to the right.
any member.
Any document provided with it should be retained by the city clerk.
For the record, hey, I'm all for it. I didn't draft this.
No, I'm not saying, I think you drafted
I just want to
it.
make
But I
sure
was going
that I
down,
didn't put-
where it say these documents should be revised and retained by the city clerk upon conclusion of this meeting. But what you're saying in the last paragraph there, attorney, what it say the documents provided here should be retained by the, are you saying when we get to a financial discussion over these documents and we receive these monthly statements and where it come from, anything, we have to turn it back, we got to turn it back into her?
The unredacted ones.
The unredacted one, we got to turn it back into her?
Yeah, anything that leaves would just have to be redacted.
Okay.
That's more of a that's so that there's the protection that, you have the raw information, but anything that would leave outside of there would be protected.
Okay.
That's what that was for.
Okay.
So there wasn't a reason why we can't produce it, is because it's confidential. Well,
Okay.
this breeds confidentiality anyway.
Okay, but we have, the council have knowledge too, we can have it in the meeting.
Yeah.
But when the meeting's over, we have to turn it back to the clerk.
Unless it's redacted, then that's perfect, like a public document. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to have that.
Okay, we'll get to that ready with Claude, I think, I just want clarity. Okay.
And I got a point of information while we're here. We're gonna make, I got a question. I'm glad it's germane now, since we talk about ordinance and we talk about finances, right? We talking about bank accounts, bank statements. I got a question. Councilman Bradford. I'm to the attorney. Councilman Bradford, when he got ready to get the bank statements, he requested bank statements. I want you to follow me on this closely. He an elected official. He requested bank statements. And they said, well, you got to redact it because it's security risk. Well, I got a slight problem with this problem. Because when you take an ethics, everybody took their ethical deals. So when you look at the ethic deals, let's talk about 2-year window that you can't work. I'm talking about, I'm not gonna call no name, I really want to call the name, but they're not employed here, so I can call the name. Well, the ex-clerk, so I'm not gonna say clerk, I'm just gonna say Miss G. I'm just gonna say Miss G, because you're gonna miss my point. My point is Miss Goldman used to be the clerk, right? Now, she cannot work a contract with the city of Bastrop for 2 years. That's go reach ethical, take your ethical test. And so if you can't work or you can't contract with the city of Bastrop, that means all your rights been revoked. That means you're just a citizen, right? So now, Mr. Bradford is a council member and he cannot have access to what he wants unless it's redacted. Now, Ms. Goldman is in there as a private citizen that got access to everybody's personal record, bank statements, and also unredacted bank transactions. Now, I want you to explain this to me, Mr. Attorney. If this man is an elected official and he can't do it, how can, see somebody say, well, she used to be clerk, used to be, right? Somebody else used to work here years ago. But when you leave and you prohibit it, that means you are a private citizen. So now, this person is allowed to access everybody's personal data, every bank statement. So Ms. Monica is the clerk. Now, this other person is an individual that's happy, but you have no legal rights to be in there because you're not contracted out because that's prohibited. You're not an employee because that's prohibited. So that makes you just an ordinary citizen having access to everybody's record.
James, I have a point of information. You said is, you mean was working?
No.
She still is.
Huh? I'm
Yeah.
confused.
She was here Thursday.
We had a December 31st deadline, and I made that clear before we passed anything with this go step. Her deadline was December 31st, so how can you say it is working?
Well, and point of information too, we as a council need to back up and be legally mindful, because we don't give her a date because she's excluded. She cannot work.
Let me clarify for you. It's not that you can't work, because you can't. You can't be compensated. You can't contract to be compensated for the
So
charge.
Hold it, David, hold up. So you mean to tell me a person that's not under contract with the city of Bastrop, hold up, follow me, don't work for the city of Bastrop, as a private citizen can go in and access everybody's personal data?
No, you should not have that underneath any case, but somebody can act as a volunteer employee.
But David, hold on,
and cover their insurance.
point of information.
It's a compensation that you can't.
Well, no, she's a private citizen. Tell me, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Well, I think that what they're classified as with the administration is with the administration. What I'm telling you legally is you can't have somebody who was a former employee who retires and comes back and volunteers services, so you just can't compensate.
Even with a condition?
I think, Mr. Devin Jones, I think you evaded my question. My question is, how can a private citizen access people's personal data?
Private citizens should never access. So if you're talking about classes of people, then we'll talk about that.
Okay, so what can Ms. Goldman be classified?
If you'll be quiet for a second, okay?
Hey, don't,
I'm-
all right,
I'm trying to answer.
let's keep it civil.
Well, I'm trying to.
All right,
answer your
well, let's
question.
keep it civil. Don't ever address me in that manner again, because I respect you, you're gonna respect me.
Well, I'm trying to explain to you.
All right, well, you have the floor now.
Okay. If you're talking classes of people, private person should never have access to someplace. If you're talking an employee can because they're covered underneath insurance. A contractor is gonna be covered underneath their policy. So yes, as far as categories of people go, yes. Ethics wise, what can you hire after you've disengaged from a place or you've been an official? Ethically, you cannot be a contractor or a paid employee. Still leaves the fact that you can be an employee through the voluntary, just as much as if we had somebody who was working here on a voluntary status.
So if she falls and hurts herself, what insurance policy is going to cover a volunteer?
Cause one
A
of
volunteer would be covered by your employee
but
policy.
David, one information.
It's just an unpaid volunteer, just like you had high school interns down here who were helping out for class credits.
One information, David, when we was, a while back, we was talking about getting volunteers to clean the parks up. You told us, you verbatim said that they can't take place because they're not on insurance.
It is a huge insurance risk.
So is Ms. Goldman on insurance?
I have no idea. You'd have to talk with the administration.
Well, administration, is Ms. Goldman on insurance? Because we was told, when we had some citizens trying to enhance the parks, we was told that they cannot enhance the parks because they're not on the insurance. They cannot volunteer. So now I'm asking, so they don't apply to Ms. Goldman?
Well, the problem with your scenario with enhancing parks is they would be doing repairs to.
No, they were talking about just being out there just cleaning up the park.
If you have volunteers, my statement with volunteers every time is the same thing with statement of people who get community service. I don't like it. I don't like where it falls.
You said they're not on insurance.
Yeah, it creates an insurance issue because your insurance clauses will have in there that
So this
you
don't
have to be vetted and all this stuff. I agree 100% that it applies. It is a complete other hazard and risk to have somebody who is a volunteer employee. Because the question is are they really an employee or are they just volunteer? It comes down to a classification issue, and it creates a headache. It does.
Well, are you aware that each city council member, and let's let the cat out the bag. We as council members, we are requested to go to the window. We are not allowed to even go in the back. Now, that's where I'm really getting at. We as elected officials, when we was instructed, when we need something, we go to the window. We cannot go back and have a conversation with whomever. We are required to go to the window, but you got a person that are retired, got access to everything. Now, that's what I'm getting at. It's nothing to be fussing about. I just want some clarity. Mr. Bradford been doing all kind of documents. He's not allowed to go nowhere. I came up here the other day, and I noticed it the first time. Go to the window. I'm like, man, I used to work here. I had all kind of codes. So you mean tell me that I was a department head? I can go back there, but now I'm an elected official. I can't go back here. So I didn't say nothing. So the second time I came up, I don't want to put nobody on the spot. They sent me to the window again. I'm like, what's going on here? Y'all not allowed to come back here.
It's never my legal advice to have volunteer employees. It's just, it's an instance that is ripe for issues. It has always been my advice against volunteer employees because insurance policies categorize them differently. And it's always an issue that can be ripe for disaster. It's been my opinion from the get-go. It's my opinion that Mr. D. Green asked, and it's still my legal opinion that it is not the best business practice to do.
What's really taking place here, we are being totally disrespected as a councilman. Okay, as a city government, I mean, we all know what this is about, okay? We might well call a spade a spade. Ms. Goldman has no business in city business. Now, we extended it after she resigned to the 31st. The mayor gave a great big speech that how bad we needed it. I would say, well, okay, Ms. Cabot made a motion, let's give her to the 31st of December. And she's still here. Now, we need to make a motion tonight. She's not allowed on the premises in the office of the city of Bastrop. And be specific who we talking about, because they have access to personal files, bank statements.
Have keys to the building?
Keys to the building.
I think the procedural requirement would be a policy because you can create policy as board members, a policy that there is no volunteer employment.
No volunteer employment?
No volunteer employment.
The reason this came about, because I can understand the city may need help. We short-handed. They short-staffed, right? But my thing about it is, it just kind of bothered my spirit when I come up here to get something, and I can't even go back and talk to the clerk. But you got a person that's unauthorized back there. But if you say they authorized, then if the marijuana back there, if you say it's legal, then
I like to make a motion.
Legal and what you expose yourself to are different things. I advise on legality and exposure.
I like to make a motion.
Decision, just like with y'all, is not with me.
Okay, I like to make a motion as of tonight. I like to make a motion as of tonight, not tomorrow night. As of tonight, Ms. Sandy Golden is not allowed in the city.
Yeah, you're gonna.
Access to the city property, as a volunteer. She can come in the city hall, I'm not denying, but having access to city records as of tonight.
So I think your motion, are you?
Tell me word.
So.
They need to be personal.
No.
But no volunteer, excuse me, no, I'm so sorry, we know we're talking about, no volunteer should have access to the city clerk office at no time, access tonight.
There should be, the motion would be a motion to pass a resolution that the city of Bastrop shall not have volunteer employment.
Okay.
listen, it's a complicated issue, right?
It is.
Now, hold it, because the city, we short, we only got one clerk, and she's in training, temporary training, and I try to be fair and balanced, right? But it's just the process that I kind of feel like there's no transparency. I just feel like people just want to do what they want to do without coming before the council. Now, the city may need Ms. Golden. I mean, I'm not up there every day, but what I'm saying is, it's not right for to have one set of standards and then have another set of standards. Now, if the mayor, if you say it's legal, so if the mayor actually wanted this open and transparent, I think you put it back on the city council. You say the city gonna shut down, and I want y'all to approve or whatever. So, I don't know. It's difficult, but it's just that not right that I feel like a person that's used to work here and we elected officials, anytime we want something, we got to go through all kind of red tape just to access it. But she just go get it and it pops up.
The keys in the building, it was said, in other words, the pimping came to a head. Okay, now let's do away with that. We gotta make it complicated. The pimping came to a head. And we all know who we're talking about and what we're talking about. And there's no reason for us to bite our tongue any further in 25 about this situation that occurred here. We have a 14-year experience or 15-year experience clerk over here. Okay? And they also have a clerk association. If they get jammed on something, they can pick up their phone, they're in classes, and they can call around, and their association member will tell them how to deal with this particular situation. Now, the pimping came to a head, we need to go ahead and bust it and move on in 25. Let's stay alive and move on in 25. Okay? But there's no reason for us to keep pushing it back and forth and back and forth, back and forth. I think it's not just to the current clerk, other assistant clerks have been here 15 years. And again, I think I stated on before, if that previous clerk was having a pass, what would we do then? We gotta look at it that, hey, it's over with. The end of the road. As of tonight, should have been December 31st. And if you don't do it, and then continue to do it, you just totally disrespecting this city government body. And there's no reason for it. We're gonna make it. We're gonna ask for uncommon favors. Oh, y'all won't be preaching tonight. Okay? Uncommon favor.
Attorney General,
We get them in
by her not being an employee or a contractor, how city fair, just say if someone in that office files suit against the city for a hostile work environment or against harassment or something.
She's underneath the employee category, she's just underneath the volunteer employment. It's the same as if you have a volunteer program where people come in and can volunteer to work and do stuff for the city.
Man, I mean, don't make this look so bad. It looks bad. Don't make it. I know you. I hear what you said.
I'm just giving the categories, and I told you how you can prohibit it.
Okay, well, the motion that no volunteers in the city. Well, I hate that because somebody want to volunteer for basketball, baseball in the city. See, we got to be slim. How to say, no volunteer should have access to the clerk office or the other administration office. We got to word it because, like I say, it's. We don't want to rule out coming next month. You see, you didn't want to volunteer for baseball. You didn't want to volunteer for football.
Yeah, it's this broad, narrow thing. You got to shoot somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, because we have kids that work in after school programs and stuff. So
right.
So you just can't just.
We know what we're talking about. Let's do what we're talking about and get it over. We know what we're talking about. We're gonna have to call a spade a spade.
Let me, for the record, I'm like,
Go ahead. We all go ahead and weigh in on
that, I will not participate in a conversation where a person has not been given a 24-hour prior notice to be discussed publicly. And so, that's my statement.
Oh, okay, that's your statement.
That's my statement. And
then
that's, and a person's character, competency, being discussed in an open meeting without having been given a 24-hour notice.
We said that last year.
And then at the same time, that we talk about transparency. Everybody knows my phone number. Everybody. Somehow these issues seem to come up in public without some dialogue of the importance or the need or the support or what is driving a situation.
Well, at our meeting, you and Miss Angela, you and Miss Tappet, y'all fist bumped and had a great time and said the 31st. Now, you said that she was not gonna be, this come from you guys away, but you guys agree now. You wanna be open and transparent, let's be transparent. We here at the 9th Looked like if you was gonna go past the 31st, you would have contacted Ms. Angela and say, hey, we got a problem. I would need you to address the rest of the council members, because I'm gonna need Ms. Goldman for extended amount of time, but you did not reach out with an olive branch. You just did it on your own, because when we left here, everybody was under the assumption that she was gonna be leaving on the 31st. So nobody's wrong here, nobody's bashing nobody. And if you talk about 24-hour notice, that's 9 days, because the 31st was about 9 days ago. So I can understand you may need help. The problem is we gotta go through the right processes and steps so that you just won't feel like you can just do what you want to do without the council's approval. Because I just stated, I believe you probably need Ms. Goldman. It's tax season. It's all kind of stuff that's need to be done. I never was under the impression that you didn't need her. I'm saying, but you gotta be true for what you put on paper. And what you put on paper was the 31st of December.
You gave us this impression.
It's always a record of what I said.
Yeah, that's what you said.
It's always a record. The needs change every day. And if you are going to legislate the mayor's office, you want to make a motion on that?
Well, it's gonna the mayor's office be legislated on in March, the election time.
Well, you make that quite abundant. Okay, let's move on to,
Mayor, just in the sake of time, I would like to suspend Robert Rules of Order. If the speaker, number 12 is here, can he come forward? Because we've held him here a long time, whoever he is. I know it, but he's been here a long time. I think courtesy. If everybody okay with it.
Good.
He has an event. I think we've held.
Jerry Schrader, 5143 Tall Oaks, back here in Bastrop. We requested for a special event permit for February 7th at the Municipal Center for our Northeast Louisiana Chapter 12 Fair. We need the special event permit or donate the alcohol, which saves us a pretty good bit for the event. We have an application, we provided all our proper liquor licenses, insurance, everything should be in there.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, so we did the event up here the year before last at the Bastrop Visitor Center. We're doing it at the Municipal Center. We've been bouncing back and forth between Monroe and Bastrop. We're outgrowing everywhere which we're doing it at. So hopefully from now on, we'll be able to do it at the Municipal Center. I'll be seeing y'all again next year, hopefully a little bit earlier in the night.
I have one question, sir.
Yes, sir.
For security, you have a liquor, who you hiring for security? What's your security policy?
Who
are you gonna be contacting?
I'm actually law enforcement. We have 4 law enforcement officers, state, federal, whichever rank which y'all would like to be there.
I think it would be you all responsibility. The event give a responsibility to provide security.
Well, normally when you rent it out, they'll provide 2 police officers in the pay.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess you say you're a police officer as well, but there will be security there.
Yes.
That will be on the premises. That's my only concern.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we don't
They have a rescue capability.
incur any liability. That will have security there.
So, Madam Chair, we need to vote on this, or?
As long as you have state. You have somebody say, the sheriff.
It's 12.
Is it sold, alcohol will be sold or just?
No, we do not sell alcohol. Alcohol is donated.
Okay, I
So
get
you're
it.
not selling it?
That's what I was just saying.
You're gonna be joint consumer, right?
Yes, sir. It'll be consumed. We will not be
I'm
selling.
gonna worry about consuming.
And we always, I don't know if anybody came, if they year before last, we had the Minnesota, we always invite.
I'll be there this year.
Go ahead.
I'll be there this year. I'll make a motion.
Okay, I second.
I
we
say,
have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
And it'd be February 7th. We always have a table for the city council where, which we're having it at.
I see you
Y'all
there.
been invited. Thank y'all.
All right.
Mayor, I want to I wanna clear something up. When you just stated that that I wanna do something with the mayor's office or whatever, and my response was that March. That does not mean that I'm trying to endorse no candidate or anything. I was saying anything ill will towards you, because everybody's gonna be up here for election in March. What I was just saying, you made a statement towards me, and I'm a bigger person. I apologize because I didn't mean it to come out the way you interpreted it. I just made a statement, so therefore I just want you to understand that I wasn't implying that you wouldn't be in that seat, because I may not be in that seat. I'm just saying, election have consequences, and I just wanted that to be out there, because I don't want you to feel like that I did you a disservice, because I don't come here to do a disservice to my constituents. I come here to be fair and balanced and even keel and do what's best in the best interest of Bastrop. So if you feel slighted, I apologize to you.
Okay. Mr. Green, I find, for me, I will not campaign from the seat that is entrusted in me. Neither will I compromise allowing anything to fall through the cracks. And the one thing that I will say again to each of you on this panel, my phone number, I am open, I'm accessible. You can call me anytime. I hear the word transparency a lot. And I'm not unaccessible. And I often use Mr. D.D. Green as an example whenever he calls. He calls, he knows that I'm up late at night. We talk, 12 o'clock at night? So anytime. And I make that abundantly clear. Thank you, Ms. Champion, for that observation. We really need to move on. Did you,
We gotta go back to 11 now.
11? Move numbers around.
I thought we were on 10.
Ten,
Yeah, we let the gentleman out of the misery.
Oh, my, yes.
But I saw the chief come to the microphone. Was it something you needed to address in reference to that? We're clear on that.
Y'all approved it. I didn't know if y'all wanted me to recommend it or not.
Okay, let's just maybe clear up one thing, chief, in reference to who will be doing the security and the arrest power.
City police officer, we did the security last time, we'll be doing it this time.
Okay.
Yes.
All right,
Appreciate it, Chief.
thank you.
So we do not vote on 10? Oh,
We got it off on the.
okay.
Where are we?
10-8. I mean 11-8.
11-8. All right, 11-8.
Did we ever
We talked about ordinance, financial statements. Did we?
We never did vote.
We haven't done anything on 10. We didn't.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to accept with the changes that Bishop requested.
And
Yes.
okay.
I second it.
Okay. We have a
And I
motion.
changed chairperson name.
Chairperson.
And Attorney Jones, at our next meeting, can you provide us the updated version of it?
Yeah, I have it right now. In fact, I'll print it real quick. Good job.
I call for the vote.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 11A. Okay, everybody had an opportunity to look at the expense and revenue report. Got it in view? Yes, sir. Mr. Green.
I just got a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
You want me to go ahead now?
Yes, go ahead.
I think the last time we spoke, that each councilman is supposed to get like maybe $50-some thousand for their district. And I remember back during the Jones administration, they was able to, and I'm speaking in regards to abandoned houses and buildings. So back when Mr. Jones administration, they was able to tear down like 12 to 13 houses. And at this moment, the city have the equipment to tear down the abandoned houses and buildings. So what I'm asking is, with the $58,000 I have, I'm sorry, with the $58,000 I have, is it possible, Mr. Jones, you might be answering this, that when it's related to abandoned houses, dilapidated houses in my district, can I pay the city workers the overtime on the weekends when out of my funding to turn down a house?
Yeah, yes, you can. Those funds don't have the ARPA requirements on them because they're the business legal.
That'd be time and help. That way,
You can dedicate your funds to time and a half employment to take that house.
yeah, because
We would have to go through and condemn them first.
yeah, but I was see what I was thinking was like it'd be cheaper to do it in-house, and then that way we can pay our city workers time and a half, because it should be no more than 2 to 3 employees, maybe a day, 2 days at the most to tear down. So it'd probably be like,
Yeah, and you can still put the lien on the property like you normally would, so some of that money may actually still come back.
yeah. So that's why I'm told everybody get talking. So also with that money as well, like I would like to, I'm just trying to see the things I can purchase, like basketball for Dawson Park. And the young lady that came in with the list for softball, and we can purchase the same thing for baseball, as well as basketball goes in my district. Can I do that with this 58?
Yeah, any legal purpose that you can use it for. There's no ARP restrictions on it because it was actually cleaned out. And it was money that was put in the category and then an equal amount was set aside. So anything that's legal, you can do.
Okay.
There's no ARP restrictions on it.
That's all I had.
Yeah,
Mr. Diddy, would you do what we did before sending your list?
Yeah. Okay.
And we can work on that.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
have a question.
And while our budget is being amended,
Well, it shouldn't be amended for this, because it's already set aside for.
so there was another component, we'll talk about it.
I had a question.
I think Mr.
I want to make sure. Mr. Lockwood?
Mr. Lockett.
Good, Mr. Lockwood.
I was concerned about those houses that's in our district. We just can't arbitrarily go out and choose a house, dilapidated house. Those houses have to be on those citations, or how do we justify the house that we're gonna, we just can't arbitrarily.
So we would have, so it would be just similar as we did the East Side School and the.
But we didn't do no with these sides.
Correct, but the same process to get it to where we could do that would be the same process where you do a condemning action. You would have to have the code enforcement, sorry, I lost title. Code enforcement would go out there, look at it and decide it.
Need the list.
You're correct. And then you get a report from the engineer that it is a dangerous building within the definition, and then we present it to the council at a hearing. And the council.
You know what's gonna happen first thing in the morning? People gonna be calling and asking that the property next to them needs to be, so we need to make that clear tonight, that we're not gonna start tearing down houses.
No.
Everybody's gonna be calling and say the property next door needs to be torn down.
You would need to identify a list of properties, and you'd have code enforcement go out there and look, get your engineer involved, right? But it is a process, probably minimum 60 days.
Okay. But Devin, just think about it. Like, think about if you do 2 to 3 employees, even at time and a half, you probably spend. No, I'm just saying employees money wise, you probably spend no more than $1,500 a house. If you can put $20,000 to the side in your district, that'll clean up at least 10 or 11 houses.
Correct, and one benefit to that is that, remember, at the end of that process, anything that you expended, you can put in the lien and place on the property.
Then I can recoup some of that back.
Yeah, you have more potential to recoup it back and keep the ball rolling. I wouldn't doubt that you.
I just said, $58,000.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, let me know when you're done.
Go ahead, Mr. Bradford.
My first question. You say something had to come back before the city council. When will this money be available available to the council? When will it be available?
I don't do that end of it.
Well, I'm not asking you, I'm asking the mayor. I guess she get whoever money. When will the money be available that we, as councilmen, since it's been allocated to, we can have access to it? The employee's been paid. That's a good thing out of the rescue money. Now, when can we get this about our business and start tearing down houses or donating or organizing, because from my understanding, I have several ideas I like to do in my district.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I need to know the procedures or how to, for instance, I have a spot already located, I'm gonna share this with, let me know in the guidelines. Mr. Bubba still back there? You know, okay. I have a person say, yes, we can tear down the house, we can clean up, tear it down, they don't have the money to do it, okay? I was hoping to get with Keith Morehouse, Beauty, was the name of them? Yeah, cause they partnership with something, I'm trying to stretch my money. Cause we come up with half, they came up with half, you know, it's just different. I need to know, when is the money available, and when do we go to work on a particular site? And what's the procedure for me to come here and say, okay, I have John Doe home, John Doe have agreed for us to clean it up, remove it, and we don't want access to John Doe property. We don't need to take access to John Doe property. You know, we just want the property cleaned up because it's a nuisance within the city. Okay, I need to know if John Doe is agreeable, and she should have a contract agreement to go in to tear it up, to clean it up, excuse me, because I already told her, clean it up. I assume that we get started.
Okay.
Man, what's the procedure? What I have to get from John Doe, and what does John Doe have to get from the contract? How we working here? Do these contractors that come in independent, do they have to have, liability insurance, or how does it work? Are we taking any liability? It's a lot to tear that, going on people's property and doing things.
We're going on people's property, I'm not sure you can do that, but without, that's what.
With their permission. I'm thinking with their permission. If the owner say, hey, look, you can clean this property up. We give you authorization to clean this property up.
The proper way to do it, if you're gonna be cleaning it up in that manner, is to go in and we can cite them give them the hearing date for the condemning, and they can agree to it and come in here and say, hey, we agree, we wanna have this condemned, so that y'all can then come in and take action.
I think Mr. Bubba already had it on the list of one I'm preferring to, a couple of them.
Yeah.
And some of them adjudicated.
And I've talked with the similar groups about that procedure, about partnering, and my statement to them was, notify us of the ones who say, hey, I want to, we still need to follow our procedure where we set on for the condemning hearing, and they can come in on that date and say, hey, I agree to this action.
Okay.
And then it still requires a vote of the council, but they're gonna be here and they're gonna say, hey, I agree, I want this condemned.
Okay, it has to still come before the council.
It still has to come before the council. They would just come here and say, hey, I agree to it.
Okay, that's fine on demolition and bright profit. That one other question, I'm gonna leave it alone. For making donations or for contribution to a nonprofit organization, which Ms. Hart said we could do.
Yeah.
Now, how do we go about doing that?
Now, let's say that the nonprofit had contacted the individual, because I've discussed this scenario too, where they contact the person and says, yes, I want to clean this place up. There were some places on Maryville that were that way. We would just do a CEA with the group.
No, not fair. I understand that it was just quick. I'm talking about, we want to donate to organizations that does good things in the community. Like, let me consider, Robert Williams, that's in my district, they do a great work, they have bingo for senior citizens out, they have kids activities, and we want to contribute to them as a donor. I feel the work is well done, and the money will be well benefited to my district, to reach out for my children in my district. Now, what do I have to do?
Cooperative endeavor agreement.
Okay, cooperative endeavor agreement, that with any nonprofit organization.
It could be with nonprofit or profit, as long as it's not limited. A lot of people think it's limited to nonprofit. It's not.
Could you draw that agreement up for me, please?
Yeah, I draw those up all the time. We just have to find a benefit they're going to do for us that's equal to the amount that would be given.
Okay, but give me a sample if I can go to work.
It's real simple. We can get a couple of them, and it's easy to work and obtain a benefit. We just have to make sure the benefit is commensurate with the amount that we pay.
Okay, sound great. We'll get to do that. So,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. T.
Get them out.
Mayor, Attorney General. So what can we put in place that I can keep track of my $50-some thousand was being spent? Because I know how to do my own numbers, so I just want to know, so what can I have that the administration to give me that let me know where I'm at budget wise when it comes to my $50-some thousand?
Accounting is outside my purview. If it's my business, I'd have to give you access to my QuickBooks, but you're gonna need something on a ledger. That's administrative.
Cause I don't wanna overspend, so, so I wanna, spend whatever.
One thing that we getting ready to kick off is doing things that's on the right of way. First, we're gonna kick that cleanup off.
But that's not coming out my money.
No, it's not coming out of your money.
My district.
You know,
I would count them out into the team.
Is that your money at Winter Bradford?
I was grabbing it. You can't tell me what to do my money. I got
it's
to
coming out of the.
I'm not ready to pay my.
What happened to the, what happened to the 100,000 that was set aside for blight?
What 100,000?
When we first had the sheet, it was 100,000. It was in the budget, 100,000 for blight. I'm not talking about the art, but I don't know what it was under. It was 100,000 for blight. I'm just asking a question.
Now, we did receive a grant specifically for some upgrades to the city hall, but I'd have to revisit something where blight, was that in the regular budget?
It was in there, $100,000 for blight.
So you see,
I don't have to.
Mayor, when did we get started with this?
The reason I asked because, Mayor, the reason I asked because all the property that we talking about now is adjudicated property, right?
yes, and I appreciate Mr. D. Green's point,
So-
all of the points, but we're gonna start on the peripheral edges that have been identified.
See,
That's it.
When can we get started?
You identify what you want, just as Mr. D. Green, if you give us a list, Mr. Locke, and we'll take it through the process so that, all of the logistics can be worked out.
Listen, I think what we need to do is, y'all, we're kind of missing the point. The point that we're talking about now is blighted property. It's gonna be, you gotta see when they give you a list, you gotta see the blighted property in your district. You already identified 65 properties and 62 properties.
Okay, what I'm talking about, there was 25 received grant through, Representative Thompson. It was $25,000. Representative Thompson told me, he gave me the parameters, which was where the fence came in over at, Griffin Park, because that was blight. That was a $25,000 grant. Remember those two, Ms. Chadley? That was, okay, that was added in when the budget was re-advertised. Yes, that was one district. Come on.
All that did is just.
Find it 100,000. Find it 100,000.
Okay.
But that's, me and you need to get together anyway.
And the rest of it, we were gonna distribute, by that time, you had to the administration. Okay. In my hand, put it right over, no. Okay, all right, we heard from District, C, D, heard Mr. Locke. Okay, Ms. Tapp.
Yeah, I mean, I've already identified properties on American. I also want to do some restoration to Forest Park.
Okay.
That's the top 2 projects right now on my list.
Okay.
I'll come up with other stuff.
Shoot us an email.
Okay.
Okay, that'll help us keep up. We'll make each one of y'all a little box.
Okay.
This is how much is been spent in here this week. Now, let's bear in mind, all districts are not equal. Some districts have greater needs than others.
I'm district.
You got a lot of stuff to do.
I know it.
We want to see the list there, since you said that.
No, I'm not saying I'm giving you, his list, you all of it.
Since y'all talk all the time.
He calls me.
I'm transparent.
He's transparent, I'm transparent. All your people call me.
Well, tell me it now.
Okay. means you ready, Mr. Rock?
We are.
All right.
I'll run it for you, James.
Item B, to discuss,
Man, cut it out.
okay, you wanna read that? You wanna read that, Mr. Jones, item B?
I'm not a chairperson.
Okay, you want me to read it? No, I don't want you to read it.
You know what I'm saying, I bet you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, I'm
I
fine.
haven't had that. Yes, I'll read it.
I think most of that's probably already been mooted with finance ordinance. Now you got,
Okay.
You say what else?
most of it's been mooted with finance ordinance.
No, I ain't been moved, we'll add, let me read.
And I'll read it.
Okay.
To discuss an act directing the city attorney, Mr. David Jones, to file an administrative writ mandamus asking the court to order the city of Bastrop administration, Mayor Betty Alcadale, to turn over all financial statements, was that an AD?
Yeah.
And records.
And records.
From
And records.
January.
January 24th, let me help you.
No, I got it. I got it. Okay. January 24th to January 25 and beyond to the city council.
Okay, you say that baby was discussing the ordinance.
The ordinance provides the vehicle mechanism, but as far as if you want to break down procedurally, can I file a suit on behalf or against the city? I can't as the city attorney.
You can file a suit on behalf of the city, as a city attorney on behalf of.
I can't sue the city.
They say the city can sue and be sued, right?
It can sue and be sued, but I can't sue the city when I represent
They
the
say
city.
we have to hire our own private attorney, these documents never given it to us?
Well,
That's what you said?
the way to get there is now you have an ordinance that they're not provided to you as contempt, and that is a criminal violation.
Okay, no, that's a criminal violation. Well, with that in mind, I would like to, with this, because we can't go on in the public, so we keep getting these people. We gotta bust these people, because look here. You say, for instance, if we never get this stuff, you know, we just been our wheels. We had this, 4 months ago. You know, it ain't nothing dollar tonight, they keep getting put. I like to see coming here on February, the regular meeting, February, with those financial statements and everything in a nice bind. I think we got 34 some accounts, for however many accounts we got. City got bind it and show what the spending took place during the month of January since we in the new year.
And you have that vehicle now.
Okay, well, okay, but we have that vehicle. That means when we come to the finance meeting or in our package, we may not want to let out some of the stuff you want to do. But each council should have at their financial table a binding statement, a binding copy of each bank statement concerning the city of Bastrop. Then we can look at things, what we gotta cut, what we gotta make our budget, what we can use, what we can't use, and make more financial sense for a person to make a sound financial decision.
And that was the concept of that ordinance that you had asked to be put in place, and the concept is how do you not expend city funds on an outside attorney that I would have to defend against?
Okay, let's see what February brings.
Look, if a criminal penalty doesn't produce a result, I don't know what.
Okay, well, you work with your day-to-day operation, just remind Mr. Bradley, y'all need to have that ready for Mr. Bradley, the second week of February. Let's see what February brings, let's see what the ordinance be enforced, okay?
Well, I don't get to enforce it.
I know you don't get enforced, I'm just saying they're gonna do what the ordinance, I understand your position, you the attorney, you the advisor, you the advisor. To keep Mr. Bradford calm and keep the council coming, let's give it to them, where they can make sound decisions, see what they can cut from, see they can cut, you know, from different programs, what they call it, poke in the budget.
Okay.
I think the ordinance says you can ask for it for any reason.
I know, so we ain't
You
got,
just want to look,
we ain't got, I know we
you
did.
just want to look at it and say,
No, that's not what I seen that, I want
If I wanna start cutting and looking at and trimming, this is a more user-friendly instrument.
I know, I want the financial statement action from the bank, and then I can see what's the balance, what we can cut from and what we can't. See, in other words, I got 3 bank accounts, and one got 0 account, got 30 cents in it, I know I can't spend that now. If I got one with 30,000, I know I can put them at that account. Well, see me, if I got $1, I don't have to spend that night. Oh, I couldn't be sick. I couldn't make that sick.
Okay. I think what,
I need to
I
spend
think what we all want,
I got 6
when it,
balls,
when,
and I tried to feed them all.
I think what we all want when it comes to this ordinance, Attorney Jones, I think that when you're talking about bank statements, see, I think what we want, because when you look at a bank statement, when you get a bank statement, you got interest, right? If we want an itemized statement as to, okay, you got 32 accounts, right? And they interest-bearing accounts. We want a comprehensive breakdown because it's not hard, because when you get the statement from the bank, they already tell you what the interest rate is. You just got to put it in a form. It's pretty simple. So what we get that you can redact the account numbers. And another thing we want is two more things I got to speak on. The other one is that $5,000 limit, right? I need you as the attorney to draft up something to make it enforceable. Because if we got an ordinance and it's not enforceable, why do we have an ordinance? You know, that was put in place we put that in place for a reason, right? If you go back and look at past practice throughout these council meetings, you'll see why. I don't want to go back into it, but it just wasn't drawn, that number wasn't drawn out of thin air. So what I'm saying is another one, that when people hear the word grant, they just use the word grant. I'm talking about everybody, administration just say grant. You don't know what grant it is. We need a line item for each grant, the original, the origin date, when it originated, and the expiration date of the grant, the purpose for each grant. So therefore, when we look at a budget, it won't be hidden into the budget like grant, like this Arbor thing. Because we was thinking that we had X amount of dollars, but in reality, you had $1.8 million left because it was restricted, but you had it in the general fund. So it should have never been in the general fund. It should have been put out to the side. So therefore, it was no optical illusion that you thinking you have one amount. And I'm answering this question because one of my constituents said, well, how y'all didn't know it was in the Arbor fund? Well, you can't play hide and seek because we don't have the records every day. I'm not saying the mayor here, I'm just saying it was accounting practices of the last person that did our finances to put it in the general fund. And when you got it in the general fund, and you stated yourself that if it was not revenues for that year, it did not have to be stated. So if it's not, this is for the people that asked me a question. They can't believe that the city council didn't know it was in there. I'm trying to explain the best I know how. Because it came in 21, so it never really showed up. And when you're looking at the general fund, you really thinking that you got a lot of money in it. It shows a surplus, but that money it got restrictions on half of the money. So in the reality, you only had half of what you thought you had. So that's what we're trying to get to, where we can be open and transparent to our constituents. So I can say, okay, we got 32 accounts, interest on this, because nowhere have I seen, since I've been looking over finance chairman, I've never seen the amount of interest paid. They always tell me it's somewhere in the general fund now, probably somewhere in the general fund, but I want to know, we as a committee, I believe I'm speaking for the finance committee, we want to be able to see what we generated. Therefore, you have a breakdown of what the city actually is functioning on. Because right now you just put it in the general fund, just throw everything in there like a jumble out and say, hey, it's in there somewhere, find it. So therefore, we want the attorney, respectfully ask you, to come up with an ordinance or whatever. We want a comprehensive breakdown, and you know the auditor, the people in Baton Rouge say we're supposed to be getting this once a month anyway. But we haven't been getting it once a month, and so when you ask about it, people on the notion that we badger, no, we just want to see the city finances. We want to see, because the Bastrop City Police Department, when you go back to one of those other meetings that we was talking about giving them a raise, and we was talking about.
It's actually in the one that was provided to you tonight. It's on this little thing here. If you go to page, it's the cover page, the first page, and the second page of the financials. It's in there.
Generated, understand, but I'm going to ask you about.
Yeah, you're looking at the section. Yeah. And the ordinance y'all passed tonight says any financial document.
Right. Not the generator thing, no, I want something more than thing. They got
And I got you covered now, I'm covering him, where's it at here?
I just want to know what I want, I understand what we got, but that's all.
I'm the guy
And, city clerk, I'm just addressing my answers. I would like, if we could, we have a breakdown of the grants, right? We see what the grant, we can actually see the grant money and actually see the balance of the grant money. And the interest, I mean, that's not asking too much. I know you already got a lot on your plate, but.
I think on this one, it has your interest income at $58,572.32 year to date.
Well, I mean, we just getting this tonight. If it's only, it's fine. What I'm saying is we just want to be able to see what's generated. So you won't be under the illusion that you have X amount of dollars in your general fund, which you really don't.
And this is the first time I've ever got the year-to-date financials, and you'll start seeing that each month and be able to keep up with it.
So this is the first month.
Yeah, the first month, we should get everything. See all these bank accounts, statement right here, about 32 of them. I want a statement, February meeting on each one of them. Then we'll have no census down and determine what was spent, what account come in, and what the balance of each account. And just combine in a little bit of cabinet and make it so neat. Just put it.
And now you got it. And now you have an ordinance to provide.
Before we adjourn, Mercedes.
No, we got one more thing to do, I think. We got one more, we gotta talk about the audit report. Yeah, the audit report, that very seat. All right.
Okay.
You want me to read?
Okay,
but
let me make this point. In every, when the budget, there's always a budget statement, a budget message. The budget was re-advertised in July. It was sent to the newspaper. And you can always have a breakdown of everything, all of the expenditures, the budget statement that comes on top of the budget, like what Ms. Tappan was showing you.
Yeah, some of them.
Okay. So look at the last one. It tells, even though the ARPA money was a line item in the budget recommended by a previous person, but always pay attention to what's on that cover sheet because it has the budget.
Okay, so on the cover sheet, did it have the interest of each? I'm gonna go back to what you just said.
I'm talking about ARPA money. I'm talking about ARPA money. It was listed. You made.
No, I ain't talking about the ARPA. You said
you referenced something about it, but.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm talking about.
I want to clarify that.
Okay, because you said budget. You said advertised budget. It was in there, but nothing was in there about interest. What I'm just saying is, let's just provide the council with, and if it's on here, fine. I mean.
Yeah, you got the year-to-date financials, now the bank statement, so you see that.
Okay, good.
Okay. And I want to make that point, that in that budget message that comes on top of the budget, is adopted every year, is a breakdown of money, revenue, it's a budget message.
And I guess what I'm saying is, I don't want the people to think that we didn't read it and didn't know it. You keep going back to the point like it was on there. It was not on there. That's all I'm saying. It was not. The interest was not on the front of the thing. I laid out. Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm saying.
We're clear, and I don't want people to think I was hiding money. Okay. Let's go on with Mr. Bradford's request here. C, to discuss and act that the city administration, Mayor Betty, I haven't seen my name so many times. Attorney Devin Jones request that the city of Bastrop, Louisiana, have a forensic audit done on the city of Bastrop financial statements, grants, and statements on all financial matters. Note, if the mayor or the city attorney will not make this request, then the city council member will take the necessary steps to have this forensic audit done.
Yeah, all we gotta do is make a motion for forensic audit, Councilman. If you all decide to do it, See, a forensic audit, attorney, you know that, they go in detail, they like an investigation team. See, the audit report that we have got for the last 2 years was later generated what our financial team gave Mr. Maxwell. Okay, but when a forensic auditor come in, he would be able to come in, do his investigation team, and go into our records himself and do a forensic audit and tell us what we have. See, you give somebody something, they can't report no more than what you give them. Okay, but with a forensic, I mean, this has been going on for years. Let me finish, because in our last 2 audits, 22 and 23, they state that the financial been disturbed, go back decades. That's the way the audit state. Okay, I mean, we're not been operating, not just administration, go all the way back decades. We need to finally put Bastrop financial situation in good standards. If we want to work, like I said, the financial statement will make ultimately make good decisions. Then we can also, that's good record keeping for the audit. Somebody come in and want to do it. A financial audit may cost over $60,000. Get somewhere there. I mean, it's worth it. I mean,
a forensic one?
yeah, forensic. I don't really, well,
Probably a couple $100,000.
no, well, I got cheaper shot. I talked to the, Inspector General office, they come in and, that's a administrative office,
We requested one, y'all did a resolution requesting one back in August of 23 in the legislature.
but we had Mr. Maxwell too, you know, he gonna let his money go to somebody else, that makes sense.
No, we requested, y'all actually did a resolution, and I sent it down to the legislative auditor requesting it, and they said that they did not have a reason to do it, but y'all submitted an
No, we
audit.
don't have to go there.
Well, I guess-
Do a whole-
In light of, I guess, the money that would resurface, that's his basis.
Okay, I can do another resolution, there is a state law that says you can request one from the legislative auditor, they don't have to do it, but you can request it, that's what I used before.
I like to request mine from the Inspector General. We'll administrative body, government body, they got to do it. Have a request from this council, or other attorneys, other mayor. That's why I wrote it like it was written.
I can do it.
We as a council to get it done. Decades, that need decades, that 20 years, y'all, somebody else.
That's for forensic audit, Mr. Jones.
Forensic audit.
Yeah, that's what was in the list.
Because you said, they said you didn't have to act, you couldn't ask for one, you didn't need one.
Wait, just a minute, will you
Yeah,
come?
that's
to
what the
my-
legislative
Come this
auditor,
way, Ms. Bradley.
I asked for that,
Okay.
it was in the last resolution.
Would you come to the microphone, Ms. Ms.
Brown said.
Miss Joanne Bradford, come to the mic.
You got called to the office.
I was saying that I didn't think, when they mentioned a forensic audit, you said that a legislative auditor said y'all didn't have to do that, that their audit was good enough.
Correct, that's in the last, so we made it in August of
But
20.
you didn't say that you had written to them,
Well, I
asked
actually,
for a forensic audit. A
they passed a
forensic
resolution.
audit follows the money. It'll be able to tell you all about any kind of funding that the city has gotten and how it was spent. I mean, any council member, I think, or any citizen of this community should want to know, how the tax dollars have been spent. And the fact that the past, legislative auditors have indicated that there has been, I don't think he said misappropriation of funding, but it was like, it wasn't no checks and balance in place. And fraud, could happen, could have happened, because it's no balance. And it's no way to track it. So, I just think that that would be a good thing.
Thank you, Attorney Jones.
And the last time we did, we requested, there's a resolution, it was in 23, August of 23, and it was a resolution requesting the legislative auditor do a forensic audit of the past 10 years' finances. That resolution, once it was passed, was sent to the legislative auditor, the legislative auditor's response, because there's a law that does allow for any municipality to ask for that. Their response was that they had reviewed our audits and they determined there was no need for a forensic audit.
I didn't see your letter, you said, first of all, so you might have been your wording. But anyway, I'm not just that. Right now, we passed that grade.
That's fine, and so I'm doing this one to the Inspector
Yeah,
General.
the Inspector General, I'll call the Inspector General off and tell him you're on behalf of the city of Bastrop.
Oh, I know.
You know what to say. And see, they give us a good response and lead us to what we need.
Yeah, so I'll do up the resolution, and then once it's passed, I'll send it over to them and make contact. I've made contact with them before. I was the city attorney for the only municipality around here who went through a physical review committee and had a receiver.
That's what it is.
I have a lot of contacts.
That's what it is, say all the lead.
Yeah.
I followed up on your question. We know that's how we get that.
Yeah, and that's the one who really does their
I thank everybody, the evening has been well spent, and typically in
do that resolution.
closing,
There's a resolution, so I can send it down there. On that C item, which the resolution would be, resolution asking the Inspector General to.
Make a motion for a resolution that you,
form a
send it to the Inspector General?
Yeah,
I second.
and here's the title to it, a resolution asking the Inspector General to perform a forensic audit of the finances of the city of Bastrop.
a motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, in closing, I think this evening has been far spent. Most audits, especially with small municipalities, you're gonna have some findings when you have a small staff. And you do the best you can to segregate the duties so that one person is making a deposit is not writing the check, the person is collecting money, and you have to navigate around those things. So all findings don't mean a death sentence to a municipality. All right, thank you all. At this time,
I make that motion.
I second.